of a tournament. Hey guys, my name is Adam, and these are my top 5 final games of a tournament. I think the last game of MPL Phase 2 is definitely going to be in my top 5 final games because Tempo Storm just previously had won MPL Phase 1 and by a pretty large margin. So going into Phase 2, it was a bit of a different situation. The score was a lot closer between them and I think 4 other teams. So for them to kind of complete the back-to-back tournament win, they had to really perform in this last game, and it definitely showed.
Clam backs away. He's looking for the flank on the smoke line. Sharky's got an eye on the E United. Clam down. The spray comes out. Sharky. Tempo's got this thing. It's looking like it's going to be Tempo, but E United's not out of this thing yet. Only Taylor J left. Tempo might win. Tempo might win. He's in the smoke. It's so close. They've got to be waiting for the blue. They're already know where he is. They're waiting for him. Tempo's gone. The last game of the day. Tempo Storm. What a massive victory.
I think this game right here in particular is one that every PUBG esports fan will remember. FaZe Clan going into this game, they needed to get top 16 to qualify for the grand finals of PGC, and they were in 24th place. So they had a lot of work to do and a lot of points to get. And for a lot of people, it seemed almost impossible. FaZe Clan this game, they were just killing everyone. I think they swept the entire server and basically put on a show that no one's ever seen before in PUBG. So it was just amazing to watch, and getting above 16 kills is something that's just really hard to do in PUBG. And they must be feeling on a high they've never been before. The last match of PGIS, I think was just a crazy experience for both the players and the viewers. And I think the big reason of that is this is the final week where the winner of this week wins over $1 million. And that's something that's not really been done in any PUBG tournament before. Everyone knows kind of how much this game means. And with the leaderboard as close as it is, like you can see from 9th place and above, like they have a chance to really get in the money. And anyone from like 6th place to 1st has a chance to win the tournament. So it's just a riveting game in general to watch. I think as both a North American viewer and player, I think it's really nice watching this game because there's not only one but 2 teams that have the chance to win it all and be crowned champions. Sonics with 77 points, Zen with 68 points. They both have the ability to win this game and be crowned champions and world champions, and that's just something that you always want to see as you know, being from North America. I think this tournament in Face It Global Summit was definitely one like close to my heart because I was playing with SDK at the time, and going into the last game we knew we had a really good shot at winning the whole tournament, and winning a global championship is, you know, was something that we sought after our entire careers. So this game definitely meant a lot to me.
Third, but they grabbed 10 points before doing so.
Already splitting the circle, DG98 clears methodically as he spotted him.
There might be a scenario here where they literally just kill it.
I think they might do. Sharky, he can't do it. It's DG98. And I'm pretty sure the Rangers might have just pushed themselves back into that first spot.
The ending of PCS1 in NA was definitely one for the history books in PUBG. And it's something that I definitely always remember as a player. Reason being, going into the last game, SDK was 12 points behind the leader in wildcard, and with 1 game left, they have to create at least 13 points with wildcard getting 0 points to win the tournament. To start this game off, I think shoot to kill just really wanted to win the tournament, and they were ready to do whatever was necessary to do that. And you can see here they hot drop wildcard at the very start, and they're really hunting to try and take them out and make sure they get the least amount of points possible, and hopefully 0 points. I think they do end up taking out one of wildcard, which is obviously really good for them. But after that, they kind of realize they can't chase them forever and have to play their own game and get their own points. At this point in time in the game, STK's got 11 kills, and they're up against S1 in a really, really tough push here. And I think this is where it gets really riveting for the audience to spectate. You can see Purdy going in with a nade. He gets knocked. I think it's only Luke last up for the team to clutch it out. They need at least 3 more points because Wildcard, I think, got 2 kills this game. So Luke ends up getting 1 knock. He's got the whole team on his back here. He gets the second knock, and he tries to get in to get the flushes because he knows he needs those 2 kills, but he dies from far. And the most insane thing that happens here is S1, the last of S1, does not go to res these 2 guys. So Luke ends up getting both the kills, and with the 1 placement point they got the exact amount of points they needed to tie Wildcard and win on the tiebreaker.
To Luke 12, and they are tied, and STK will get the edge on kill points. Unbelievable, Cameron.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching around the world. Welcome back. It is time for the ESL PUBG Masters Americas Final. My name's Toffees. I am joined by Matchroom and D D as we kick off the festivities here. It's good to be back for some ESL action, Matchroom.
Oh yeah, especially after how ridiculous last week was with the qualifiers. I mean, we just saw the highlights from them. There's a lot of teams that had expectations weren't met. That means the fact that this lobby is going to be nuts as we're bringing in Latin America, merging it in with North America, and the games are going to be killer. Here's Shark's chance. Yep.
Trying to make the push while Mime is down. They've actually got 2 downs now as Kildemo will find Tickleton. 3v2 here. Troglodytas desperately trying to sprint over the top of the ridgeline to see if they can find any angle. The grenades are coming in. The spray and pray, but it's not going to find it. Shrimzy should get this res onto Mime in
so
time.
close, though.
And now Win has gone down. Necro has found him. Sonic's falling apart here. Shrimzy will find Kildemo. Doesn't matter. Troglodytas with the 7-kill win in game number 1.
I'm all about rooting for the underdog, but this is going to be an incredibly difficult task. He's going to find one. DraftKings, can he find another, Poro?
Well, we'd love to be able to get that flush, but Flood not going to give it to him there. Now Snakers has been spotted out. DraftKings, dangerous man with that gun in his hand, and he's not going to find any knocks. He'll eventually go down. There you go. E United gets the 2nd win of today with 8 kills on Everest. And they might end up with 20 at the rate this thing is going.
They might.
They're going to find Hooligan. They're going to find Tater.
That's gross. 17
pulling away
kills.
from the cliff. 17 kills in the bag already for E United. 8 for Rello himself.
I think he saw them. Oh, God. He's trapped.
Well, we spotted him out, and he spotted him. Okay. Now he's in a little bit more trouble.
He's got to play this hill. Yep, this ridge is it. He's got to go for it here.
Here come the flashbangs. Progression of flashbangs immediately comes through. Nice try from DraftKings, but in the end, it's going to be another win for United as they collect, what is it, 17 kills?
18 kills.
It is an absolute smoke mess right now in the center of the zone, and everybody is spraying and praying, hoping they can find someone. United got a little bit too close for comfort, though. Falls just too easy, takes them out. 3 players still standing for them. 1 for Yahoo, 1 for Fiumba, 1 for Sonics. The circle is tiny. The smoke is thick. And Shrimzy has a shotgun. Is it going to be enough? Just too easy. 2 standing. Shrimzy spots 1. Can he spot the other? He doesn't. It's going to be the zone that takes him out. Oh, what? It works. 4 kills, but Sonic somehow wins this.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay, we gotta run this back. All right. How did
this was crazy close.
You gotta keep your eyes on. But how close can you possibly get here? Shrimzy taking some blue damage there. I think he spots it. It's Coda Kid that we got to keep an eye on.
Coda Kid, yeah, he takes 1 tick. He takes not another tick.
Flushes mine. Oh, it's the he got him a headshot.
Oh my goodness.
Right before the last tick of blue from Shrimzy. Just like that, 2 instant knocks from TA gives Benya a little bit of time to work with. He's going to get Shimboy, but immediately gets traded out. So it's a 2v1, I believe. Yeah, Tater, no, 2v2. As Palix is going to, oh no, Palix loses the 1v1 against Shinboy, and there you go, Yahoo. Get that elusive first victory.
the high ground because, as you called it, that vulnerability towards Fiumba, who just spread their attention wide down on the low ground. But there you go. Snakers finding an opening knock onto RDS. Kickstart waiting for the call to make the run right as a teammate moves. Looks like a 2v2, a full push down the hill. And when FPS finds one, finds two, Kickstart and Flood both fall. There's nowhere left to go. E United eliminated.
We're not going to get it, though, as DraftKings strikes back. Sparking now very low. Is T8 not going down without a fight? What a nade from Palix. As T8, they are having a dream weekend so far. I love this from Big Bang Boom. The offensive smokes. They are just dropping smokes right on top of Young King's head. They're saying you have to come through the smokes to peek us. And there you go, right on. Okay, Psycho going to find a nice little angle on the sharp shot, gets the knock right there, and that's going to open the door. RDS going to hop the fence, try to send it back over. Keenan there, and now Roth going to have to escape into the smokes. He's going to get one. Going to get the flush, get another point. As the other two pushing through, there you go. Young Kings will clutch it out.
When we look at our leaderboard, the top half of it still has a lot that can be played out moving into next week, and I want to see who takes this week, reflects the best, brings it back in, because we know that whenever we talk about like our big study teams, some of them aren't here, so there could be some doors open given how much studying you can blow up and really come in after doing your homework and find that leaderboard.
Absolutely. ESL PUBG Masters offers the chance for players to take that half play, go reset, and come back stronger. I can't wait to see what happens next week.
Just a little bit about where they want to go. They'll step down for a little bit. Looks like Yahoo has found a tenuous spot. What is going on?
They just sent it into the dip and they ran over half of the team. And they actually got the wipe for it. I didn't see how many were still left.
There you go. Yahoo going to open up onto Dodge as they make that pass. Are they sending it right in?
They're going to go right on top of Sonic.
They're going right in. Oh, no. I don't think that was that the plan?
I think the plan was to just send it and hope not to get caught.
Huh? Okay.
Oh, well, okay. You know what? 10 points for that landing. There you go.
Tokyo Manjigan going to try to do the same thing, but they're going to crash right into Dodge here. They want the fight. They go 4 deep. They're going to lose Juarez right off the bat here as Finna will hold the line here. Zella going to push through.
What a flash.
Nice flash coming through from Finna as he gets Zella. Can he get another?
Finna for 2.
Finna is on fire. He takes 3 down. It's down to just Colton for TM, and he's got 1 HP to his name. Hikerman doing work from the window. Can he get the flushes here? Colton, not even time to go for the heel dodge. What a hold on the long building.
And Young Kings 22, or E United, pardon me, have actually been going at this for just a little while as they've continued to try to get into the zone. E United are using so much of utility. I can't imagine that they still have too much left after this. You can see Rello's just down to smoke grenades and potentially a few flashbangs. So there you go, another flashbang. Keep that pressure. Waiting to see members get. Looks like Psycho's going to get one. When Flood comes back out, assistance.
Oh, Snakers!
Oh! It is an absolute smoke mess right now in the center of the zone, and everybody is spraying and praying, hoping they can find someone. United got a little bit too close for comfort, though. Falls just too easy, takes them out. 3 players still standing for them. 1 for Yahoo, 1 for Fiumba, 1 for Sonics. The circle is tiny. The smoke is thick. And Shrimzy has a shotgun. Is it going to be enough? Just too easy. 2 standing. Shrimzy spots 1. Can he spot the other? He doesn't. It's going to be the zone that takes him out. Oh,
what?
It works. 4 kills, but Sonic somehow wins it.
Shrimzy, yeah, I need to see this because I still don't know exactly what happened. We saw him get the first pump kill. I see it now. It's the back member of Just Too Easy. He goes down to the blue. Wait.
Was it? Yeah, okay. Yeah. You want to tell me it again?
Yeah. Wait a second.
Run it back. Keep it running.
Maybe.
I don't know what the hell happened.
Well, because it looked like Shrimzy died first, right? Like, am I crazy?
I don't know. Look, maybe the back guy for Just Too Easy took 2 ticks.
That's what I thought as well. But then looking at the replay, that's not what it seems.
Here it comes.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay, we gotta run this back. All right.
This is crazy close.
You gotta keep your eyes on. But how close can you possibly get here? Shrimzy taking some blue damage there. I think he spots it. It's Coda Kid that we got to keep an eye on.
Coda Kid, yeah, he takes 1 tick. He takes not another tick.
What's his mime? Oh, it's the
the
headshot.
Oh my goodness.
Right before the last tick of
That was
blue for
crazy.
Shrimzy. Will hold the line here. Is that looking to push through?
What a flash.
Nice flash coming through from Finna as he gets Zelly. Can he get another
Finna for two.
Is on fire.
Shrimzy spots one. Can he spot the other? He doesn't. It's going to be the zone that takes him out. Oh, it works. And when FPS finds one, finds two, Kickstart and Flood both fall. There's nowhere left to go. E United eliminated.
Welcome to another weekend of awesome PUBG action. We are running right now through our grand finals weekend for ESL Masters number 2 for this year. I am Matchroom, joined by KMD and Godspeed. Guys, they're going to be talking for a while to break down a whole bunch of very interesting stuff as we're going to be moving forward. So I'm going to just jump right into all of the slides, get you through all of the stuff that you guys need to know moving into the rounds for the day. Most notably, we started off on 2 different continents in Latin America and North America, then merged them together to get to our grand final stage. We did have a weekend last week, but this is all about this week right now. The last 3 days of play are going on. What are they fighting for? Well, it's going to be $50,000 prize pool, all considered, $12,500 up at the top of it, working it down. But really what we're going to be talking about for a good section is going to be PGC qualification points. Note what we're looking at right here and how many points that can be run through. And now we're going to take a quick look to see where everybody's presently at. Because the topic of conversation as we're going to be working through this opening section is to see, okay, where is everybody at and where's the potential for PGC points going to lie in the future from this, as there are so many different things to talk about. Even the players have their own insights on what they need to accomplish to make sure that they can make the PGC. Let's take a listen in.
Yeah, the story so far for us has been like the first 3 games, it's like we're warming up. And then the last 2 games is where we've gotten all our points, all 3 days so far. Normally as a team, we have the second better half of the tournament. So if we pop off like United did in the first day, I think we can win this thing. But really going into this weekend, I think even though United has a 40-point lead, I still believe we can go into this weekend and win the tournament. Yeah.
We've got a whole spreadsheet on PGC points, and our target has to be 8th. Like, otherwise we're not looking good for PGC, so we'll have to, and Dodge have to do shit too. So it's like Dodge have to do bad, and then we have to finish top 8. Otherwise Dodge will overtake LG, and we'll have 3 teams fighting for 1 spot. I'm so sorry to Wildcard. Imagine like picking up a roster and then for their first tournament they're like well and truly like underperforming. So very sorry, but I'm sure we'll kick it into gear. Like, it is a huge jump to like the teams in front of us, but I'm feeling really confident that we can do it. I mean, we've had a lot of hard discussions in between last week and this week, and I think we're all on the right track, and I think it'd be a much more obviously stronger wildcard going into this last week.
Yeah, so we definitely need to talk about Bing Bang Boom versus wildcard. And right now, Bing Bang Boom, despite not having like the 3 maps look good at all every single day, they are looking so much better than wildcard. As long as BBB actually warm up before the games start, I'm really confident with them. It's the wildcard question that's a really big one. Their fights on the edge they used to be really good at, they don't seem to be winning them at all. So as far as, you know, Cal's win condition of we need to get 8th and Dodge need to do terribly, something major is going to have to change in how wildcard begin to approach these fights of control along the edge.
Yeah, I completely agree, but that also brings us, I believe, to our Latin American brothers between the 2 teams of Synergy and 22.
Mudamos um pouco o jeito de jogar, então para essa semana pode estar esperando uma 22 nova, podem estar esperando um melhor desempenho do que a semana passada e que vamos dominar essa semana, vai ser uma semana especial para nós e para os fãs e tudo mais. Sim, será um grande fim de semana para 22, reformulando nossas estratégias, espero que dê certo, estou muito confiante, mais confiante do que na semana passada, então pode esperar um novo Heaven nessa semana, uma nova 22 Esportes, que vamos dar nosso máximo.
I mean, 22, Cammy, it's been rough sledding. It's just been rough sledding for this team, right? They really haven't been able to get anything going. We see the few clips where they've gotten some kills, but even then, like most of their games, honestly, they're just struggling to make it past like circle 3 with like more than 3 up. They've just been losing people in rotations. It's not been the prettiest, but you know, 22 is a team that we've seen bounce back before in the past and give us some pretty good numbers as far as like a second weekend is going. So I'm really hoping for that for them here. As far as Synergy, they've been in it, Cammy. They've been in the mix and they've been having some decent fights.
They really have, actually. They look like a completely different team when we last saw them at a major event, at least what sticks in my mind.
Yeah, agree.
Incredibly safe, but now they're actually being very scrappy, very chaotic, and they're picking up a lot of kills from like salvage games, from games where they may go out like 6th through 10th, but they'll still have like 3 or 4 kills to go along with them, and it's a slow and steady rise for them, even if they won't have those big explosive games. One thing I do want to see from them, though, is I want to see them take these fights faster, because oftentimes the reason why they're in a salvage moment is because they waited until it's too late to sort of try and take space, and they're having to deal with the blue and other teams rotating around them. I also do want to give a shout out, though, to Benya as well, who's been pulling out some amazing solo plays. If he's the last one alive, oftentimes he'll get like 1 or 2 before he goes down, and that I think he's one of the biggest factors of why Synergy are in 9th currently.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as this head-to-head, it's pretty lopsided. I mean, if you look at the damage, it's pretty on point, but as far as the actual total points, it's pretty big gap. And remember, these teams are fighting for PGC points, right? 22 is just ahead, and Synergy is just on the cusp, and right behind them, not far at all, is Trog. So they definitely need to get as many points as they can in this last weekend and just get something going, man. 22 really needs to get something going.
I mean, there were so many expectations coming out specifically for Haven and how he performed at PUBG Nations Cup. To see them in the position they're at, I know a lot of Latin American fans are pretty worried about that position. I know a couple of you guys may be like, why are we even talking about PGC points? There's still a whole nother event in between here. If you're thinking about PGC points at that event, it's way too late. It's all about stacking up and figuring out, okay, can I get into a striking position now? Because once you start tailing in then it starts being like, well, I guess I've just got to win the overall thing altogether so that way I can move into the next stage. Like, I'm just curious, Godspeed, as you're trying to qualify for these different things, like, and you're seeing the PGC point totals as an ex-player, what was it that you were always trying to focus in on? Was it just you're trying to catch up to that other person, or what other factors are there?
Well, I mean, it should start at the very beginning of the year. From the very first event, you should be worried about PGC points, right? Because you can't just bank the fact that you're going to win either, you know, the final PGC event before it's all over. Excuse me, the final oh my goodness, the final event before the actual global event, right? So you have to make sure that you're stacking up. And in ESL Masters too, I mean, there's a significant amount of points that is on the line here for a lot of these teams, and so you're absolutely right. If you're waiting for the last event before Worlds, you're doing it wrong. And a lot of these teams are, you know, they have to think about it. You heard Waikakamukau talking about, like, we have to hit top 8. Like, there really is no other way. We can't just go into PGC 7 and just hope that we're gonna get PCS, excuse me, PCS 7, we're hoping we're going to win it.
They're all confusing. Look, we got CGIS, we've got PGC, we've just all over the place. Like, I yearn for the old school days where it was just NPL 1, 2, and 3 because we could just track it all together. See, ESL makes it easy too. Just ESL 1, ESL 2, Cam. Moving into this weekend, we've seen that the left side of the leaderboard is still very compacted, and I know a lot of what we were talking about is the movement that could be happening on the right side for PGC points all considered. There's still some opportunities in there, but there is a lack of chicken dinners being found where they're mostly being gobbled up on the left side.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way that it is, right? Just because the jump of points from second to first is always going to be huge. That's why oftentimes, sometimes you'll find in an event the team with the highest average placement isn't the one with the most placement points because they're like unable to really get those kills. I think Dodge might be a team that's in that situation where you'll see them tease the end game like more often than most other teams, or like many other teams, but they just don't have the wins to really propel them forward. Fortunately, they also have Ethan at the kills and the rest of the team as well, keeping them in the conversation. But back to, I think, the original point around PGC points is that, I mean, it's the elephant in the room that we don't talk about them because, frankly, they're not here. But while we have a quick moment, let's talk about them not being here is Luminosity. And that is a great opportunity for teams like Wildcard and Bing Bang Boom to further fortify their position, because those three teams, along with Dodge, are really going to be the ones fighting over that bubble positioning. And with Wildcard, with their current placement, that small gap that they have is not really going to be much going into PCS 7, where we know Luminosity is going to be ramping up in full power.
See, Cam, I love you. See, I was about to say, how does this affect teams that didn't qualify, like Luminosity? But I was like, nah, that's too mean to Luminosity. I'm not going to make Cam be the bad guy. You did a great job in tackling it all there. So looking into this, one of the reasons we don't get a chance to really talk about PGC is it's so nebulously hard. There are so many other factors whenever we look at everything all together and how it all stacks. Most notably, we've got our leaderboard for this event, then we've got the PGC leaderboard that stacks up on top of it. So that's why we wanted to just take a moment and give you guys, okay, moving into this last weekend, this is why all of these different talking points are going to be so vital. Now then, we've talked about PGC points, we've laid that out. I've got to pick your brain real quick, and I'm going to just throw it out there. We haven't had a chance to really deep dive into Yahoo and their performances there. We just saw the fact that Balefrost had a phenomenal position as far as overall kills, and they've been doing a great job in making it into the late game, but I guess flashier, bigger plays that sometimes going and taking the chicken dinner away from them. Godspeed, do you think the fact that this track that Yahoo is on is going to be great for them this event as well as PGC?
I feel like for this event, yes. PGC, I mean, that's a whole different can of worms, right? Just simply because of the teams involved and all that. But as far as this event goes, I mean, just looking at their stats, like Yahoo have turned a lot of their bad games into decent games, and then the games that they've taken control, I mean, they've really taken control. They've only won one game this entire series so far, but the amount of times they've placed in the top 4 and just gotten a good amount of kills has been very consistent. And ultimately, if they can just keep that up, again, they don't even really need to win games. I feel like Yahoo is in such a good position to continue this trajectory, to staying in the top 3. And honestly, again, with the addition of Bale to this roster, they've looked so solid. So yeah, I think Yahoo's going to do just fine this weekend.
96 points, I believe, overall kill leader, all considered. And remember, Balefrost was like, what, 36 of those? So he's doing pretty okay, all considered. Cam, looks like you had some insight that you wanted to toss into that one.
Yeah, just Yahoo, they're it's like what Godspeed said. Yahoo are not the flashiest team because they don't get the wins, but they are consistently into the mix, getting a lot of kills throughout the mid game, leading into the end game. It means that they're gonna have to stay consistent because they won't have those 10 pole rounds like E United's 18 kill win, but they haven't shown any signs of slowing down.
Yeah. Well, I know everybody is like, okay, PGC points, all these like imaginary numbers that are going through their head. Instead, let's just go ahead and move into the action. I promised it to you right off the get-go. We've got Porosaurus and Clover that are going to be walking you through all the action today. Take it away.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you very much, Matcham and the boys on the desk. I am Porosaurus. Joining me once again is Clover, and as the guys mentioned, Clover, there's a million different little storylines that we could be following this whole weekend.
Yeah, I mean, they pointed out already the closeness in the race with Latin America before we even get to PCS 7, and obviously the mirroring of storylines like we saw last year when we were at this point in the summer, very, very close to the end of the year in PGC points, and teams are starting to miss events. Even an event as seemingly, I don't want to say small because ESL is huge, but the points are not as big, obviously, as the PCS events. But it's still enough, and we saw that closeness caused Dodge last year. So if you're looking at teams that are in the chase, every big placement for this event happens, and it also means it's going to make things a little bit easier going into PCS 7, especially if they're not guaranteed a slot to participate in PCS 7.
Yeah, and you also have to worry about, no pun intended, but the wild card teams that we maybe weren't even expecting to perform as well. Tactical 8. Obviously the guys at the beginning of the show had to talk about all the big news of the day, but Tactical 8 has been kind of a sweetheart of ESL 2 here so far. And they've been so consistent all the way throughout, and it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch teams like that and what they do here in week 2 and how that impacts these teams that are on the chase, like teams that had a bad week 1 like Wildcard that needed to try to catch up, or 22 who we're looking at right now.
Yeah. Yeah, 22 currently in the lead for PGC points as the dust did kind of go over. But right now in this event, you've got Fiumba, right? Fiumba, who I know everybody isn't really talking about because this is their first event, so this is going to be their first points on the board. But right now they're in 6th place, and if they could climb even up to 5th or 4th, they're only 2 points out of 5th. That's a significant chunk of points, and then a great performance at PCS 7 could make them the LATAM wildcard to even come in and snake that position out from under 22.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to watch Fiumba. I mean, they've I believe they've got one win, right? They've been playing. Man, doing my review, looking at them and looking at TAC 8, it was like watching a mirror. Like they are playing very, very similar play styles, playing from edge very early on, not going for center. The edge of our circle has been remarkably open, which I think has helped TAC 8, help Fiumba out a lot because they're able to do these late rotations, come in and kind of just play on the edge, avoid all that early fighting, avoid any early confrontations, and just kind of bide their time until the late game, keeping 4 up, and it's worked a charm for them, at least through week 1. Now the question is that going to remain the same here week 2? Are they going to find that same kind of freedom that they had in week 1 on the edge to kind of work around? I don't know. It's really tough to kind of find that kind of halfway between good IGLing and a little bit of luck on your side.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting too that you bring up TAC 8 and Fiumba, because another stat that I also noticed is that not only are they up in the top 5 for placement points, but also total average points per game. So that's placement and kills combined. That they've really been looking for those scoring opportunities. We're following Tater, and some of his in-game finishes really come to mind. He finds himself a really great place to vanguard for his team when we get to those final fights. Top 4 up, and we've seen some of that from Fiumba as well. They are also the highest kill scoring team out of the Latin American region right now. But it's like you say, we've only seen 1 week performance. We need to see a second either repeat or even greater performance for some of these teams. So you can even see right now just a little early fighting. Dodge, this has always been my notice. Dodge always seems to get shot at in phase 1, whether it's their own doing or just these really close rotations they take to teams.
Well, they do try to go for high prio compounds. And if they get there a bit late, caution be damned. They're still going to try to see if it's open and see what they can get out of it. And at least so far, it's been having a little bit of success. Hello, my bad. Meanwhile, he's rolling up here. He knows he's not alone either, and he's getting shot from range as he's going to get some defense from his teammates off in the distance. Hello, my bad, though, knocked very, very low. He's going to have to go down. Nice. Finna will clean him up, but good protection from Colton. We'll trade that back, and now Colton's going to get a second.
Nice. I mean, Colton was very quick to support. You can see back in the vehicle and trying to get a better angle now. Ethan is still in the area behind this, so I think the priority right now is trying to get the res, but Finna was able to get that flush onto Hello, my bad. Now Colton back indoors. Make sure it is not overly exposed right now to the last few members of Dodge that are up. You can see here comes the rest of Tokyo Manji Gang. Zealot and Wada is also here for support, jumping over the fence. Underhand grenade. Oh, he's got to have seen Zealot. Colton, I don't think he saw him.
Nicely done, Juarez.
There you go. Good job.
Gets in there. He's gonna. Well, he'll finish off Gats. He'll finish off Hikerman, and they do get the knock on a Finna. It's all down to Ethan on the hills, and it looks like he's just running for those same hills and just trying to survive a little bit longer as a solo for Dodge. But that is good stuff from Tokyo Manji Gang. They kind of got caught out a little bit with Hello, my bad, pulling onto this compound. They looked like they were going for a 2-2 split. The northern 2 were already gone and away, but they immediately turn on that thing and it kind of oh, look at that. They're even going to find Ethan as Dodge goes down. Good news for Wildcard especially.
Oh yeah, and also I mean, good news for TMG. This was a team that came stages of so much momentum and a lot of expectations. And we do typically see this sometimes. A team that can perform really well before we get to the grand finals struggle once we get into this lobby for various factors. And obviously, of course, the meta changes from our regional lobbies to the combined lobbies once we bring in both sub-regions, Latin America and North America, playing together. But that said, shake off one bad week. There's plenty of opportunities this week to play catch-up. 15 matches left for those teams to make up for some missed opportunities. And talking about opportunities, TMG is just finding everybody right now.
Well, they may want to be a little bit careful around the Sonics, as the Sonics have pretty much had their number all week one. But again, TMG, they don't get where they are by avoiding fights. So Sonic's pulling in a little bit late. They're going to take a little bit of withering fire. That's about it. I think they should be, for the most part, okay. They'll find a nice little spot to play here. Take a few shots already with Mime. Mime has had a heck of a tournament so far. It's not really showing up in the numbers, but man, I can think of about 3 different times Mime has just pulled off some crazy solo stuff.
Yeah, I really think that when we talk about each individual player of Sonic's and we break down, typically mine does get to be the one that's talked about the least. But when you're a team that has been performing at this caliber, it's so high, it's sometimes hard to miss everything that they've been able to accomplish. And Sonic's, although only in 4th place right now, I've had a kind of moderately mild couple of games where they even have won. They've still won out with lower on the kills. They've really been focusing on, I think, placement in the circle, in-game priority over kills, in the way that, like right now looking at Yahoo haven't really had those winner chicken dinner moments, but have found double-digit kills probably more than any other team.
They sure have. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think they've got about 5 so far in this tournament. And Sonic's, meanwhile, not a single double-digit kill game. Now, in ESL 1, they managed to pull out 5 of them, and in PCS 6, they managed to pull off 5 of them. So it is a little bit rare to see Sonic's not get those big kill games. So I feel like we're ready to regress back towards the mean here for Sonic's, and it feels like everything that we've seen so far this year from the Sonics has pointed to them being an even stronger team in week 2 than they've been in week 1, which is that's tough news if you're United, Yahoo, Dodge, all these teams that are in the chase, because you got to know that Sonics most likely poised to start kind of picking those points back up again.
Yeah, and I know that, that is a thing to note. I know historically in the past as well, United, especially in their previous PCS performance as Oath, have had really strong finishes to some events. So I'm curious, having such a strong lead, if that's still the type of momentum that we would see from that team. Yahoo, once again, I think just proving that their sheer fragility, the brute forcing of this lobby has really paid off. And right now they're 7 points out of the lead. So, but, as you say, the surprise of seeing teams like Dodge back in a great form that we haven't quite seen them since 2021, which I want to say was the PCS 4 performance. I had a really standout time, and again, as you called, TAC 8 and Bing Bang Boom also a little bit low. I believe it was you had a stat earlier that you tweeted that I thought was so interesting on Bing Bang Boom.
Yeah, Bing Bang Boom, really interesting. First 3 games of the day. Every single day in week 1, it was a couple of points here there. I think they had 5 on day 1 in the first 3 games. They had 12 in day 2 and 3 in the first 3 games, and then the map change comes, and it's like a switch flips for them, and they just start farming. And it's crazy. Like it's what is it? So in the first 3 games, all throughout first weekend, they got 29 points. In the last 2, all throughout the first weekend, they got 77. So the map change really helping out Bing Bang Boom a lot. But I mean, there's definitely other stuff that you can kind of look at from that squad to be happy about. I mean, the fact that if they are really good at getting all their people from Circle 5 to Circle 6, if they can get to Circle 5. And which is one of the hardest things to do, is you get to Circle 5 with all 4 up. If you get from C5 to C6 with all 4 up, you're looking pretty good for the end game. And Bing Bang Boom has been really good about it, if they can get to C5.
Yeah. Something to note real quick, the circle has shifted north. We've got Oasis still into play. Now, keeping in mind for those watching at home, this is still the classic Oasis. The Miramar update has not yet moved its way to esports. So for those of you who are wondering why, I like this. I wish they would just take the old Oasis and just shove it in a corner somewhere, because I still like it, I mean, I understand the need for the change. I do.
I don't. I loved old Oasis. I mean, I like, I'll tell you, I like taking away the unplayable terrain. That's what I like. Everything else, no. I like the old compounds, but that's me. I mean, it's all opinion, right?
Yeah.
Well, checking in with TAC 8, one of the things, I mean, we talked about it earlier. They've been really good at avoiding early game fights and kind of just either holding strong and keeping people from wanting to push them, or just avoiding it altogether. So we'll see if they can do that now that Troglodytes is coming up right underneath their doorstep. You can see 22 still holding on strong. They've got actually a nice little spot here that they've been sitting in for a while, and that's 22 hadn't gotten to do that much this week, or this tournament.
Oh, did Bing Bing? Okay, Bing Bing Boom circled around this compound earlier on. Benya was taking shots, and actually him and Silzen left, and just as that happened, Bing Bang Boom just completely took the push here. Pippo's already been knocked down, and it looks like Danit is just going to leave them behind. So Synergy down a player and have given up their compound position to Bing Bang Boom. This is not even in the zone, Poro.
Yeah, it's out of circle. I mean, it is. I think they were kind of starting to think about rotating. Bing Bang Boom got the knock, and then immediately he's like, oh, that's a free point. I mean, there's no way that they're going to sit around and wait. I mean, they probably saw the first two leave and got a knock on the last two, and they're like, okay, yeah, that's pretty free. So good stuff from Bing Bang Boom, reading the situation. Now they've got to start worrying about where they're going to play out now, as they have to make their way off north. They're taking a few shots from Sonics at range here. Synergy down to 3, working just off to the east of water treatment. They've got Yaho. Nice little spread from Yaho on the north side here. And Young Kings, look at this wrap. Only team all the way up north.
You know, I like this, though, and I think that we've seen this more and more from some of those teams to take that really wide rotation. Not often do we see it from Cobb going east. Oftentimes it's usually Torre coming around west for that position, but that does also open a lot of things up. Now, if this hard shifts north, that's going to put Young Kings in a really great position, potentially for the late game. We've seen circles end on this hill just south of Oasis before. But if it hard shifts to the south, then that's going to make them really vulnerable to a lot of those teams. So a bit of a risk reward for this. But when you really look at how stacked up the lobby is everywhere else, I mean, it's the smartest play they have because it gives them the most space.
Yeah, it's kind of a departure a little bit from what we were seeing from Young Kings. They're sharking this edges of the circle. There you go. And this decision gonna pay off for them pretty nicely here. And now all of a sudden that southeastern section is looking real spooky, as a lot of teams have to fight their way into not a lot of territory here.
Yeah, you can see, I mean, SCG taking exactly that wrap around the Torre little corner, potentially crossing the street. I mean, the street crossing, that's a huge vulnerability aspect. So even if you want to play at the top of the hill, you've got those buildings and a good line of sight. You've got to get there without everybody being able to shoot you in the back just too easy. Set up. You can see 22 and Synergy trying to traverse the mountainside, staying out of line of sight from Yaho, but this is still not the best place to put down. As you can see, Haston's going to take a little bit of damage there from members of Synergy. Shinboy now in a good position. Does get that knock onto Dean Zera. Tries to pick off a second one. It looks like focused first on making sure he gets to secure that kill and doesn't get stolen. Oh, and those second shots are going to land on Vinny as well.
Yeah, 22. I mean, they had that spot. It was inside the circle on the very edge, and it looks like Trog backfilled them. So they... Man, I mean, what do you even do? I mean, they knew they had to avoid the line of sight of just too easy, so they had to take their Muranos and whatever vehicles they had uphill, and that wasn't going to pay off. And now Mime is going to find Rusty Zera. Necro has grenade in hand. H-Win has gone down. Shrimsy's already flushed. They might be able to salvage H-Win if they can get the knock here onto Necro. He's doing a good job of ducking and dodging. Look at TAC 8, boy, they are just right over the top here, ready to pick off any points that might reveal themselves. Not overcommitting just yet, though.
Yeah, you can see Palix and Zenny are taking peeks from their compound at the top of the hill, as you called out. But right now, Troglodytes with a lot of nade pressure, keeping Sonics from pushing too hard to give support to H-Win. Mime, Tiggleton turning a bit of their own on those nades.
Nice grenade.
Oh, I mean, just the protection that Troglodytes have on this right now. The big thing also helping him out is that TAC 8 can't get line of sight. But as I say that, Tokyo Manji Gang from all the way across actually did get a knock.
I mean, they are on the edge of the zone right now. They have not moved just yet. They are just scouting out everything. Now Tickleton might be able to take the last one. Posa is going to get spotted out and taken down. And that'll be the win there for Sonics to get the res on H-Win as well. And meanwhile, TAC 8 just kind of still hanging out up there, not getting involved. They're just taking whatever they can find.
I mean, Bing Bang Boom threading the needle again, this time between Wildcard and TAC 8. You can see Hooligan and the rest of TAC 8 just keeping shots, that pressure onto Bing Bang Boom, not letting them to take out that position. And I think Bing Bang Boom realizing that this might not be the best situation to drive through anymore. A little bit too slow of a rotation. We're going to take the rest of this on foot and make sure that they remain out of line of sight for both of these two teams and potentially stay in this sandwich before the next circle shifts. If it shifts down south, this could be a smart play for Bing Bang Boom.
See how it plays out for him here as the circle. Okay, It's going to go right on top of Just Too Easy. So we'll get a nice little 50-50 with the road splitting. And now all that drama that we saw on the southeast is going to move over to the southwest as Young Kings back in their vehicles, back on the move. They've got company up there now, though, with SCG and 22. Boy, if there's a team that could use a little luck to start off the day here, it's SCG.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, Wildcard, the rest of the teams right now taking rotation. They're about to run into Fiumba, just the other side of Synergy. Danit's going to get Waikakumu go down very low. Didn't find the knock, but oh, there you go. Silzen with the assistance gets a second one. Adam falling here. Synergy have 2 knocks to show for it. If they can get the last of Wildcard, this might be a very quick wipe, as you can continue to see on the minimap. More teams rotating by. There goes Wildcard. I gave Bing Bang Boom a little bit of a freebie. They are going to take quite a bit of damage, but you can see some of that is actually even far at range from some of the other teams, I think, including Fiumba.
Oh, they're getting torn apart. I don't know if this was the spot that Bing Bang Boom was looking for, but yeah, that was questionable rotations there from Bing Bang Boom and Wildcard. Wildcard, I mean, it felt like they were funneling in one at a time instead of all being together. And Synergy, I mean, that was fairly easy. I mean, no sweat off their backs here, off their brows, as they've got 7 kills now. They've got a good spot in zone. Fiumba maybe starting to creep over here, but Fiumba going to do it on foot as they've got a hill there. Now 22 going to find and 1 FPS. Haven gone down. Vinny gone down. 22 out just like that.
I mean, it's all a cleanup there for Young Kings. SCG had been slowly creeping onto this position as both teams continue to vie for that high ground north of the road, but of the 11 teams, there are other 9 still stacked to the south. So one more hard shift, especially if it holds on to the south, is going to make things even more chaotic. TMG not yet in the zone. Sonics and TAC 8 are really vying for that position. And you can see right now, Synergy was setting up for Fiumba, who'd just come outside. So still so much chaos right now for teams trying to make sure that they've got their foothold in this next circle.
Tokyo Manji gang getting caught right on the edge there. Looks like Colton will survive, at least for now, so they'll keep 1 up. As Sonics, after winning that fight against Troglodytes, it's been pretty smooth sailing since then. 3 kills for Tickleton so far, which is great news for Sonics. They definitely needed him to kind of start picking up the pace. An uncharacteristically slow first weekend for Tig, but fortunately for them, H-Win was more than up to the task of filling. And we'll see if Tig can start picking things up again here. Is Capitan going to get spotted out by Benya?
Again, this Fiumba trying to set up around Synergy's compounds. As you say, 1 at a time funneling in. That's allowing all 4 members of Synergy to kind of lock their sights on anybody who tries to challenge that position. The circle is going to change again, still favoring Just Too Easy's compound. And now, as we can see on the minimap, that means that this tension that's been building between Young Kings and SCG is going to have to wrap up pretty quickly. Extreme does have an anchor inside the next zone. But, you know, SCG don't want to turn their back just yet until they know they've got Young Kings pinned down.
And wouldn't you know it, we haven't even gotten a chance to say it just yet, but right dead center in the circle, right next to Just Too Easy, is E United. 4 up. They've got a compound inside the circle, sharing a little bit of space there with J2E. Is Silzen going to get spotted out by Rybo XD? Is the push coming in from Fiumba? Rybo will go down to Danny, as Danny has got about a sliver of health left. Benya working through the smoke clouds. They've got time to play this out here. They've got to be careful, though. He's going to spot him. Good stuff from Emmy. Nicely spotted, and it's down to just Danny, as he will get the heal off. But he's got a nice, all he's got really left to play around is smoke.
And the best part about this fight that's happening as well is that Young Kings haven't really had the opportunity to peek over this. I think they're still being a little bit cautious of SCG that's across the hill. So Fiumba right now have protection, but this fence is not protected from the teams to the north. So the longer that this fight takes up, and as you can see, is also not protected from TAC 8, who have been spotting them. That's it for Synergy. It looks like as Dan at W was taken out. And now you can see Fiumba have a little bit of breathing room, but they've got to move quickly.
Really well played there by DraftKings. Pushed Palix back and then immediately turned the attention over to Danny. So Fiumba now 3 up as Pickleton gonna get his 5th there, but he is all by himself. He needs to lay the smoke wall down thick and try to go for these reses as Sonics backs up against the wall here. Each one will bleed out, but they might be able to get the res onto the shotgun riders. T8 actually gonna make a push here. Might distract E United just long enough.
And Yahoo's using what's left of this ridge line to give him a bit of protection. That shack just in front of Punich might be the best play that Sonics have right now. It is inside the next circle and provides a bit of coverage, but you can see Yahoo's just continuing to lay into them right now. Just Punich not quite connecting with the Mini 14. And here you go. You can hear some shots back out. It's actually just too easy. It's going to land one of those.
Oh no, and there you go.
Oh.
That's gonna do it. A combination as Mimes Molotov. He had it in hand. He was ready to clear out that shack just in case anybody was in it. But it ends up being the cause of his own destruction. As we see TAC 8, they did a full send right into that little compound, and they've managed to keep 4 up, survive here. They're not looking too great, but they're alive. Okay, Tater gets spotted out by Sparkin as Yahoo is they're just free farming over there on that eastern side.
Yeah, this is the only issue. Like right now, we're watching Young Kings, the picture-in-picture. You can see the shots coming out from Yahoo. They've been able to just, as you called it, free farming. But coming down from these positions now, as the circle's going to pull away not only from Young Kings but also Yahoo, it now leaves that vulnerability. There's so much open space for the teams coming down the hill, and also for Yahoo, who've got across the street in full line of sight of E United, who's been moderately quiet for much of this game.
I'm real interested as to what the play is for Yahoo here. They've got 3 deep in the Bronco. They've got Punich kind of scouting things out right off the bat, just letting them know where the crash spot might be. They're going to come down. Oh, keep it upright. There we go. Okay. They'll pick up Punich, and this might be just a full crash onto E United. They're going to stop down, at least for now, and see if they can maybe get a knock, maybe open up some kind of door, but E United's not giving them anything.
Yeah, they've just completely locked themselves in the backside of that warehouse, out of line of sight. And also talking about locking down, Young Kings have been watching Rebo and DraftKings at this crate for quite some time. I think the rotation idea was to come down this way, but they had to take care of Fium. But first, meanwhile, down below, Yahoo full sending it, trying to take over the shack that did not work out for Sonics. Are going to get Punich knocked down, but looks like a rescue mission might still be underway.
Oh, look at the aggression from TAC 8. They've sent guys out to try to see if they can take out Young Kings here. Perfectly timed once again for TAC 8. We've seen them do it all weekend long in the first weekend, and there you go. A combination of great work from Fiumba and Palix and Zenny, as somehow Rybo is still alive. Is he actually going to get the res?
No way. I mean, I guess we say that, but it looks like TAC 8 doesn't have a line of sight on this.
And they had to pull back because Yahoo started pushing over. Oh man, what a series of events that works out in favor of Fiumba here, as TAC 8 will lose 2. Just Too Easy will take out what's left of Short Circuit Gaming as they try to make their way across the street. Just Too Easy again, also starting to flex out right at the most opportune time here.
I mean, this is just interesting to see this 2-2 split this late in the game right now, phase 6, as they went. Used that as an opportunity to take out what was less of SCG. You can see the shots into TAC 8 as well, and not quite in a position just yet to see Fiumba. We're just over the edge of that hill, or I say hill, I mean, you can kind of see a bit of the curve there from Sparking's point of view, but that just leaves Rybo and DraftKings out of the line of sight. So Rez came out, but now Yahoo with 6 kills himself. Try to add an extra 2. As they're going to make this really hard for Fiumba. Don't have a lot of options on where to go from this position.
I mean, this is turning into classic Yahoo, isn't it? I mean, they just kind of flex out there using the terrain to their ability. They're trying to take all the fights. They're forcing people up against the wall. They're not sitting back and waiting. Rather, they're just kind of exerting their own influence over the entire lobby. Now, that being said, the converse to that is E United, who just have this great compound that the warehouse that they have to kind of sit in here. They really, I mean, I guess they could flex out, but it almost feels like there's just too much. They're surrounded on all sides, really. So maybe not the right time just yet for E United to leave this and start working these hills.
I mean, you can just see on the flyby as well what type of terrain everybody has to play with. They got a little bit of hills and Just Too Easy. holding onto their compound as long as they can. It gives them a bit of a line of sight. But beyond this, I mean, there's not a lot of positioning that they can have. Not a single member of the team just yet is inside the zone, and the best position might even to be pushing just outside of United's compound, but you can even see that makes them really vulnerable to TAC 8 in that shack. That little road just kind of comes down into the warehouse. So watching with the blue, that's where you're going to start to see some of these last teams walk in. Fiumba also in that same position. They can't really do anything, and they're just going to have to walk it in with smoke. So waiting for time to come down and hope that potentially Yahoo or TAC 8 might be distracted by one of the other teams coming in.
I should mention that during the week, Just Too Easy did make a roster change, and they have replaced Nahibol with Harold. Harold, a long-time Latin American PUBG player, played PGC 2019 with, he was W-Click, played in GLA Grand Slam with Bitloff, so a guy who's been around a very long time, and so far, it's working out a treat for him as they've managed to keep 4 up to the late game. They've got a lot of work ahead of them for this late game here, and if they can get rid of Fiumba, that's going to be a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and just as you said, keeping 4 up as well, Taharito went down to the zone, so that pressure we've been talking about right now, both teams trying to get their spot. Fiumba using the wall for cover, but it's still not in the circle as their smokes are beginning to deplete, praying that Just Too Easy is not going to be much of that threat. You can see just the crawl coming out. Coda Kid spots one. Draft King had been knocked down. They're trying to see if they can find Rebo. A little bit of spray and pray. Oh, Coda Kid, don't shoot your teammate. Get a little bit close. It's going to spot one. The trade actually comes out. Rebo gets down. Harold and Coda Kid. One member still standing of Just Too Easy. Fiumba, the last breath, take out what was left of them. And now we've got just 3 teams still standing. Poro, Yahoo, and E United coming into this final fight 4 strong. As it's just Zenny now for TAC 8.
What an incredible stand for Rybo there, as he does end up going down, but boy, he made Just Too Easy pay the price for it, as he ends up taking most of them with him. Now T8 down to just Zenny, and okay, Shinboy's gonna spot him. There you go, 4v4 for the win here between E United and Yahoo. Worth mentioning that E United has had Yahoo's number in straight up fights all week long. In the first week, I think they were ahead of Yahoo 17-8 in terms of kills going into this final fight. We'll see if Yahoo can turn that around, as they are very much fragging right now, whereas E United has been kind of, well, just sitting in the compound. 2 different ways of getting to the end game here.
You know what? And something of note too, Poro, Yahoo are 1 point away from a double-digit game again. So even if the chicken dinner does not come, they're still going to stay on track for the amount of points that they've been able to put down in games, not just in placement, obviously, but in kills. So one of the reasons that these 2 teams have just been so deadly on the leaderboard is the way that they've tackled the late game. United making sure that they conserved as many resources as possible for this final fight. You can even just taking a look at seeing what nades and meds are available for them and how healthy their armor is. And as I say that, Kickstart takes a bit of damage getting shot from Poonage. You can see they're being very careful right now not to overextend or allow the other team a bigger advantage in terms of getting too close.
Yahoo, one of the most efficient teams in week 1 in terms of knocks to kills. 96 knocks, 96 kills, and 10 kills stolen, as they have been not leaving anything left on their plate here, as United trying to lay the smoke wall down. Actually, I think that smoke wall might be coming from Yahoo, forcing EU to kind of push in there. Snakers will go down. Poonage will as well. The trade coming through. Nobody going for the res just yet. Looks like Kickstart will be the first one to try to pop Snakers. Now Shinboy on Poonage, so they'll try to get it back up to 4v4. As Flood holding strong, but that smoke wall's rapidly going away here.
And we see a bit of flashbangs. Looks like Balefrost's going to throw that last Molotov as one of the final damage throwables that Yahoo had going into this fight. The res did come back out onto United, so standing back up forward, we could see heals just about coming out. Flood popping off that first aid kit as well. And just as I say that, Rello starting to connect damage into Balefrost. Finds him down to about half HP. Shots into the smoke. They get away for a better angle. Spots one. Sparking gets the trade, but
Bale
falls down here. Yahoo pick up the win. 13 kills, and a chicken dinner.
And sweet revenge for Yoho against E United, who, again, E United has had Yoho's number in terms of these straight up fights. I mean, they've been, what did I say it was? It was 17-8 out of all the engagements, all the times that E United have fought. Then these two have fought more than anybody else in the lobby. They run into each other constantly, and E United just had Yoho's number. Finally, Yoho gets the better of them, and what a play from Bale. I mean, you could see what the plan was from E United. There was a really smart, slick push from Rillo, but just almost instantly that AUG doing work.
Yeah, and I mean, my brain even goes back, you know, a couple minutes into the game when they had to cross the road coming off that eastern hill. They had that line of sight to play from, and it looked like a really risky rotation. Not only did they make it, but they got that res up too, and were able to come into late game as 4-man strong. And it's just the smart micro plays like that throughout the game that really put Yoho in such a grand scoring position, but also a position for that win. So just greatly played by the team.
Even still, yet again, it's our two big hitters in the lobby that are fighting for first once again. So the points keep going to those that already have the riches here. Well, we are going to take a quick break before we throw it over to our analyst desk to talk about game one. We wanted to let you guys know that Destin is out. It's the latest 8x8 map to enter the rotation, featuring new utility items, vehicles, and weapons. Make sure you go and hop on with your squad to check out all the diverse new biomes like the skyscraper packed downtown Ripton, and my personal favorite, Clover, the concert venue with the giant floating chicken and the Ferris wheel. Can't say it enough. What's your favorite spot? You like that one?
You know what? I really like the swamp because I'm really a big fan right now of the boat. I like driving the boat around.
Everybody likes driving an airboat around like Gator. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Analyst Desk will break down game number one.
Welcome to Destin, where technology expands your horizons. This is Ripton, the world's premier self-sustaining city. We at Tithonic Industries pride ourselves in our ability to provide a completely energy-efficient way of life. We've developed top-of-the-line energy facilities scattered at key points throughout Destin, providing power to the entire region. Explore the moss-covered waters and the quaint villages to the north, the dunes to the west, and all the attractions in between. Now, that's only a taste of what our city has to offer. We at Tithonic Industries can't wait to welcome you to Destin, where technology expands your horizons.
Number 1 and number 2 starting off, and as our final two inside that last game. And while it's been EU United that's been regularly making it hard for Yahoo, Yahoo finally manages to get the upper hand in a in-game circle. And I match them, got Cam, got Godspeed. We're going to take you through everything inside that last round. Okay, I want to jump into something real quick before we go into the highlights and whatnot.
Yeah.
And Godspeed, you were talking about Relo so much like about how his great shot calling and the positionals, because we were talking about how United can get into positions in Circle 3 that can get them into the late game. Can you expand on that for just a second more for everybody else?
I mean, yeah. Well, first of all, like Relo obviously has 3 amazing teammates that I'm sure feed him a lot of information. But at the end of the day, he's the one making those decisions. And I mean, it's very rare that I feel like United makes a decision that it's like a bad decision as far as a rotation or like a positional, like taking something, right? Like, it's really hard to nitpick that team because of how smart they are and how well that they rotate, and they understand like the early game circle kind of rotation. So I mean, and a lot of that is on Relo's back, and he just kind of doesn't miss, man. Kid's really good.
He's so good at finding prime positions for his team to play from, and that's a big factor for him, because just getting to the position, that's fine, but then you have to be able to hold it, as 22 has been encountering a position where they can get there, but then they have some problems that happens afterwards. There's been some deep dive fights, and that we did have some Latin America versus Latin America there at the end as well. But notably, we did get Fiumba finding some steps inside that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, listen, Fiumba, they are. I was saying this last week that Fiumba are really good at just adapting with whatever comes their way. They actually don't have so much a signature style like a couple of the other teams do. And this circle, being all the way up north with all the little mountaintops, it threw some interesting sort of rotational decisions their way. But I think we're actually going to get into that a little later.
Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and switch it back up and go into Yahoo. Cam, go ahead and give us a breakdown of what you saw in the last game.
Yeah, so one thing I really wanted to look at is how Yahoo approached this circle. They're really good at fighting on the edge. You can see them here trying to deal a lot of damage to 22, but it's this position, getting to this position, that I wanted to call out, because we saw Sonics actually die from that spot, and that is because of the high ground surrounding this area, with teams like Young Teams were standing on, Tactical 8 were on it before they moved to the shack in front of them. But then once the circle closed, Yahoo from their side edge swung into that position, and that's where they were able to take that fight against United.
Yeah, on top of the fact that like they made sure that they were the last ones on that edge so that they could make that rotation. It was just very smart stuff from Yahoo. And then obviously like Synergy had some really crazy fights, and they actually came out of this game with a lot of kills. I think before they even fought Fiumba Cam, they had like already 8 kills to their name. Obviously 4 of those being unfortunately BBB, but Synergy just continues to impress, man. And Benya has been wonderful. Obviously Silzen is, I mean, he's just been an absolute powerhouse from Latin America since the beginning, and this team it's really grown on me, man. I really like this new roster. Also, Tokyo Manji finally getting some much needed points in a nice early fight against Dodge. That was a good look for them for sure.
We had so many hopes coming in from them based off of the qualifiers. They showed a lot of strength, but that kind of died down. But in fairness, I mean, Yahoo and EU United have been eating a ton of those points. And with 23 points they managed to pick up in comparison to EU United's 10, it's only going to get more spicy as we go. Just Too Easy and Fiumba each both picking up 10, as well as Tactical 8 right back behind them, who has been continually impressive in finding their ways to the late game. And there you go. It's going to be Yahoo that's now in first place. EU United back behind them, and yep. Sheesh. There you go.
Listen. I just said that Yahoo don't usually have like tentpole games to give them huge spike in points, but they just had a 23-point game. So it turns out I was wrong, and Yahoo can do it all. They can do it all. I guess.
Whatever that team. That's how the players do that. We say something like, "Oh, this never happens," and then that one game they do it.
Yeah, I was right up until that point.
I just feel like whatever kind of strategy or kind of juice that Yahoo has found this event, they need to continue this, because this has honestly been one of their best performances again. And I really hope they can keep this consistency up, because if they do, I mean, that's another incredible team to add to our already top teams in the Americas, and I mean they're killing it right now.
You hit it right there. I mean, Yahoo, we've talked about them a lot. They can contest in those top couple of spots repeatedly, but the consistency to take that first place position has been very hard for them to hold on to. Now that they've got it, and then now picked up a good game at the start. We talk about momentum a lot. Coming in off of a 23-point game on game one is just going to make everything from here on out more and more spicy. And I know we got two other Texans in here that love themselves some spicy food, so we're going to go ahead and throw it over to Clover and Pearl.
I do love spicy food.
I mean, who doesn't? But I need one thing, though. Can we go back and can we clip that part where Cameron said I was wrong? Can I get that clipped?
Yeah. I actually would also like a copy
directly injected into my veins. 10 pole game. They've had 6 double-digit kill games, Cameron. What raises your 10? That raises my 10. I'll just tell you right now. 6 double-digit kill games.
That's a tent raiser for sure.
That's a tent raiser for me. I'll let you know. All fear the Gloucester Canary, Cameron.
Well, too. I mean, even prior to this last match, I mean, they were the kill leaders. So you gotta look at the big picture, guys.
I know he's leaving me now.
Back, and he's just being a good guy.
I'm waiting for. Listen.
What do you got?
It's like that placement point that will always swing a lot of teams up there and have like big spikes in point grab. Yoho are one of the better ones to have it look significantly more even than a lot of other teams, and that's because they can get a lot of kills round by round by round by round by round. Their kill to placement ratio is a lot heavier.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and step away before Cam loses his mind.
This is a semantic argument, and I don't want a part of it at all.
Okay,
yeah, you can't
break it up. We'll go back into the green room. You guys have fun with the game. We'll see you in a few.
This popcorn is delicious, by the way.
Yeah,
well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Desk. I appreciate you guys. And we are here in game number 2. It is I, Porosaurus. Joining me once again is Clover. And Yoho, Gloucester Canaries. They are a terrifying thing to behold, and particularly on Miramar, it seems.
Well, and this circle, I mean, historically, we've seen these a couple of times now. Every single one of them has been a high-scoring game for Yahoo. In their drop situation, in a good spot to really farm a lot of kills, especially if they take those unpushable compounds. I'm already anticipating a double-digit scoring game. Just looking at the circle alone.
Are we going to run it back to El Azahar and get another smoke? I feel like we've seen a lot of El Azahar. More than normal.
Yeah, because normally we get those the road just to the west. You know, I think Matcham likes to call them the Death Valley.
Yeah, the Death Valley.
But
I think he also called it what's the name of the Death Star trench that they got to fly down to shoot to destroy the Death Star.
See, I guess I always thought the Death Star trench was the road just to the south of Al-Zahar, like the windy one that kind of goes through the...
See, Matt probably knows the exact name as well as the dimensions, because he's a nerd. And I'm a nerd in different ways. He knows the useful nerd information in situations like this. I know the non-useful information, like the Gloucester Canary thing.
Yeah, I like that. I remember you had said that last week, and then I was trying to think what the bird was again, and I got it all sorts of wrong. So it's one of my favorite logos. The poorly drawn logos are the best logos.
You think
I really miss the Any Trolls in Chat logo. If we could get that one back too.
I feel like Poonage is the kind of guy that would own a Gloucester Canary. You know, he looks like a bird owner. I don't know what that means, but just looking at him on interviews, I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of guy that owns a bird.
Yeah. I mean, you are very much the mirror parent to your pet child, so.
Yeah, that is true. I am a big, squishy, drooly mess of a dog. Sparky probably owns a pretty healthy... Sparky looks like he probably owns a pit bull, but it's like the sweetest, nicest pit bull you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, I could see that. or like just like a perfectly cut Doberman.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, we're rambling, but here we go. You know,
it's a slow early game, guys.
It is
Everybody's
a slow
still
early
making
game,
their way
and
into
it
the
is just
circle.
because there was so much space that was unoccupied in this first circle. Teams, now that we're about 4.5 minutes in, are starting to wrap up their looting and moving in as center as possible, a lot of which were the teams that were already inside the circle when the circle popped, being Fiumba, 22, Yahoo already readjusting. They love playing this high ground to the west of Al-Zahar right now, doing it in a split. I think Balefrost is still south of the street, but if they can hold that corner for quite some time, especially as these circles shift, that's going to put them in a big scoring opportunity for a lot of teams that might rotate in or around that area. So that said, I mean, this Fiumba being this centered up pretty early is also, I think, going to be a good position for them. Not having to take those away from everybody situations where they're not able to score.
Yeah, this is one of those weird situations where it's like, okay, is it better if you're one of a team that's playing the edge, like, and likes to come in late, like TAC 8 and Fiumba do? Is it better to be outside the circle or inside the circle off the pop? And this is now 2 games in a row now for Fiumba and 22, actually, where they are kind of in the center of the circle right off the bat. And obviously we saw Fiumba have some success with it that last game, 22 less so. But you know, I'm interested to see how Fiumba kind of changes up their game now that they're kind of playing in the center. And it looks like they're going to go with a moderate split, nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy, but still taking over some distance over they're still the northernmost team in the circle, which is crazy considering they're just north of El Azhar. So there's a lot of real estate available on the north side of this circle. And it looks like that's actually where Wildcard might be headed.
You know, and it's still a good play. I know we've talked about the fact that this has been a lot of circles in the Al-Zahar area, but we still have also some that have gone north of that position. So with Terra Branca, Cruz Devaya being entirely open, that's good for these early games, especially as you kind of pointed out, a couple of those teams being those edge fighting teams. We know that the phase 2 shift in Miramar oftentimes can be a hard shift. Sonics position themselves early to get into this fight with Synergy, applying pressure. Mime looking for a connection, but it's actually going to be United that's going to disrupt this a bit. Mime getting down to 14 HP, and so that's going to have to pull him back. And a cart flip. H-Win looking for that one last shot onto Danit, but he's going to crash right next to his shack.
Yeah,
and H-Win, let's go. Gets that knock.
Hits those. He hits those all day long. Yeah, I mean, this is what I wanted to see from Sonics, right? We were talking a little bit about how the kill count's been a little bit lower, but I mean, a lot of that was, I mean, it's not as a result of their play. It's just a result of the circles and the positions that they took. They just kind of weren't really in that spot to really do a lot of ADR farming like we got used to seeing them. So looks like they're playing a little bit more of that 3-quarter style, not really playing the edge, not really playing the center, but kind of playing right in the middle of that in a high ground spot where they can get vision on a lot of different teams. So, so far, a couple of nice little shots for them. Doesn't look like they got the flush just yet, so might have just been a free knock. And yeah, I think Synergy actually got that res. So either way, they're starting to find their way in. Tokyo Manja Gang, meanwhile, they started off pretty nicely last game, and then it kind of fizzled out as they were trying to play in from that edge on the south side.
I mean, again, this was a team that was aggressive. They had so many different styles of play. They could play the edge, they could play the center, they could push a team aggressively, they could send 2 and hold 2. It seemed like any fight that they took in the group stages resulted in these high kill games with wins, and that has not been working for them for this event for whatever reason. And so right now, modestly in 11th place with 60 points, very close right now between a couple of teams that are just behind them on the leaderboard. And I think a lot of that, unfortunately, has kind of come down to more of their early game kerfuffles that they have found themselves in, less in the late game performance that we really expected from that team. And Spicy Fish, kind of suffering from similar fates. They've really haven't found the late game as often as we had hoped.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not out of pocket to say the Tokyo Manja Gang. I mean, they just got bodied. I mean, they were losing straight up 4v4 fights and not taking trades at all in the first week, and that was not really what we had kind of become accustomed to seeing from them in those regional qualifiers. We'll see if they can change things up here. Now Wildcard going to pull up, do a little bit of scout. A Greg shot, nice shot landed into Juarez, will force him to pull back here as Wildcard finally coming in from that long wrap on that north side. Now they do have Spicy Fish continuing to wrap around on that western side that could come up here eventually, and also T8 eating a little bit of blue as they're continuing to make a long wrap up to the north.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's still only phase one. We've got 20 seconds to go to phase two. So teams aren't really looking to dig their claws in and fight. This is a lot of just superficial, hey, I'm in this area, please don't come too close. Pick off a point if you can find one, but really give yourself, you know, elbowing yourself out some room in the circle. You just see how stacked it is in the center. So as you pointed out, Poro, TAC 8 rotating in the blue as well, which we've seen them do quite a bit. They will use that as an opportunity. Now that circle shift is rough for those teams on the western side because you've got that unplayable shelf on the right side, and that's going to take out about 20% of this zone.
Yeah, I mean, well, 3 of those teams over there on the west look like they're continuing their wrap up to the north in Wildcard, Spicy Fish, and TAC 8. Dodge looks like they're just going to send it to the Canyon. Sonics, they'll just creep up a little bit. They've already got a minor foothold, or at least vision on a foothold in that southwestern part of the circle. So, but yet again, this is another circle that's just kind of creeping further east, as it looks like Yahoo is actually going to send it into San Martin. They're going to join Just Too Easy, so maybe they're already predicting another city finish as we see United trying to reposition away. I think they were in a little bit of a 2-2 split. They've got Synergy crept up on the high ground here, and Snaker's just below, and Synergy, they'll just take a few shots, but it looks like they've kind of got this to themselves. Nobody really anywhere else around them. Nice spot out here by Synergy.
Yeah, and this is kind of what we saw last match too. They really got themselves a nice corner that was in a position where they had line of sight on other teams taking rotations, which got them, I think, at the time, 7 kills between 2 different squads that are wrapped in that area. So if this circle continues to hang around the Al-Zahar area, that could really give them more scoring chances. Yahoo is already going to go ahead and take an opportunity to send it inside to the circle. It looks like, I think right now they're banking that this could be a city finish, which we saw last week. That was Sonic's win with Shrinzy, the shotgun and final play at the end. But right now, if anybody can help it, they're trying to avoid the city as much as we could see Fiumba, TMG, becoming very cozy neighbors.
Yeah, keeping a close eye on this one is... I'm interested to see in how Fiumba decides to play, because like we said, they've been kind of avoiding early game fights. So now TMG kind of wrapped around them, but not really pressuring them. So Fiumba could pull out and play more aggressive if they wanted to, but it looks like they're just going to keep holding their spot right now, which is I like that. I like to see that here. Synergy going to leave that high ground spot. They're going to take a foothold here just on the other side of the road on the south side from Al-Azhar. Taking some fire. I think that was from could have been Bing Bang Boom or United or both, as actually Bing Bang Boom might be in a little bit of trouble here on the southeastern side. They've got Young Kings creeping up on the southern part of a 2-2 split, where the northern duo can't really support the Bing Bang Boom boys at all here. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and you see Hippa did send it to a different compound than the rest of Synergy. Dodge, meanwhile, is still in the high ground to the west of the city. Looks like they've got 2 in the road. Finna, most north of everyone, but you're just also going to have a line of sight of those teams that continue to wrap out north. You can see right now eyes on Spicy Fish. And that's some good information to play from Dodge. Again, like this is just, it's going to be a little bit of a slow play right now as we wait to see how this circle is going to shift going into phase 3. If we're going to have what could potentially be an Al-Zahar area finish, or are we going to be playing in a more mountainous region, or are we going to have a lot of this open terrain out near Bing Bang Boom in 22, which we have seen games end on 22's compound before.
There you go. Ooh. Just off to the east of the city itself. As you said, mostly fields over there on that eastern side of the circle, but those hills just between Al-Azhar and the dead center are very interesting to play around. A lot of cover there to be found just from terrain. And then you still have a couple of hard compounds, which 22, they might want to think about pulling together here pretty shortly here. As you can see Deanzera and Haystown taking shots over towards the transitioning Young Kings while they've got Bing Bang Boom right on the other side of the road. And it looks like Bing Bang Boom might want to make this push. Haven will spot him out, though, from range. Good protection there coming in from the fragger.
I'm not sure. It looks like Dean Zera does have a vehicle and started to make the move, but Young Kings got a little bit close. And now with Hazeton joining him, they're going to go ahead and give up that compound. And as you said, collapse back down on their split. Haven and Vinny have the shanty just to the north of that position. It's very center for where this circle is going, with a lot of line of sight on that open terrain just to the north of that. So good positioning for them. But I mean, SCG holding onto the edge, eyes over Bing Bang Boom. Wildcard to the north, edge along with TAC 8. Very similar mindsets right now, as Wildcard did send Adam. The problem is that's a lot of open terrain. Young Kings are also already there, and you can see that And1 FPS is going to pull away after realizing he lost that positioning out to Adam.
Good eyes on And1, and I think Psycho had his back there and was letting him know what was going on. Young Kings just kind of creeping north to see what they can get here. Is Bing Bang Boom now going to square up with SCG. Bing Bang Boom, it looked like they were trying to send everybody across the street, and then they maybe held back in a 2-2 here with Oldless and Sharpshot taking the long building, and SCG reading that really, really well, sending a 3-man squad down. They've got one up top, Nefahor, going to be keeping eyes across the street. So now it's a 3v2 for the long building. It's a dangerous spot to fight. Oldless going to get spotted out by Richie B. As Richie B down to 28 HP, we'll have time to stop and heal here.
And just holding on to that roof line right now and using that fully to his advantage. So this is, as you can see, just barely out of the line of sight from Troglodytes, but he spots one, gets the knock onto Roth and Keenan, both taken out with help from Nefahor. Pulls off that headshot right now. SCG banking on some much needed points. They've got to flush out what's left of these knocks. You can see Sharpshot working on getting a res. Meanwhile, the picture-in-picture, that fight to the north is still continuing. Wildcard TAC 8. That compound that we saw Adam in earlier still being played for by both squads, but it looks like Wildcard for right now are going to be able to recover. Palix hang out behind, but still, Short Circuit Gaming, Richie B with this nade might just be enough to find a knock. Oldless falls here. Can he get the last one? Sharpshot trying to run away from distance, but does get spotted out by Nefahor. 4 kills now for SCG. And they've won out the bottom corner of this, but just below that, Poro, look at that Rello Flood United creeping over the ridgeline.
And the circle has popped again, and it's going to go hard over to the west. So still City in play here. And a couple things there. Bing Bang Boom, man. That was a very ambitious trying to send those two back over across the street to go provide support. I mean, they just got absolutely eaten alive here. And then Wildcard, what a great hold against T8. They keep all 4 up. And Palix still alive for T8 here, so they're not out of it just yet. But that's a good sign for Wildcard that they can win that fight straight up.
And you can see too, these are the circles that I think are some of the roughest finishes, because you've got Al-Zahar in just such a tiny corner. That ridge line just to the east, I've seen some late game finishes there. In fact, most notably some phenomenal performances from Sonics at previous PCS events. But with everybody else that right now is stuck fighting along the edge without any place to go, I mean, Wildcard used up so many resources in that fight against TAC 8, now have not only Young Kings just ahead of them, but Troglodytes potentially wrapping around and backfilling. You can see Waikikamuka does spot this rotation coming in from Troglodytes. Even that pressure with the Mini 14 trying to hit something, but actually from all the way down south, pressure 22. From 22.
22 has been lighting up the kill feed right now, as they are just free farming onto all of this on the other side there. They managed to get one off a Trog. Saw them get another knock there, a couple other knocks. As they're kind of watching off to the east, they're watching off to the south. They've got SCG and a United pin. They've got Wildcard and Trog. A little bit of a tough spot here. Wildcard back in the vehicles once again. Oh, Nefahor, though, right on their doorstep. I don't know if they know how close he is.
Oh, he's so sneaky right now. You can see just patiently waiting for the rest of the team to creep back up. Vinny did not look in that direction at all. Nefahor picks up a free knock and anticipates the second member to walk back over, but Dean Zera, who's the next closest, not giving that position away up just yet. That 2-2 split, though, is going to come in clutch, as you see not one but 2 hits onto Nefahor. Find that knockout. Smokes from teammates as Richie B tries to get the res, and that's going to give Dean Zera a little bit of time to potentially pick up Vinny. That's going to be a close one, Poro.
It is, but this is the other problem for SCG, is they've got a United right on their backs there. Snakers will knock him down an inch to his life. Oh, Richie B will turn him down. as SCG is really beaten up right now, but Kickstart still alive for United. See if he can find something. It's the last one alive as United having a little bit of a tough game this time. There you go. Nefahor will spot him out, and United down. As I could tell you the Yahoo boys, they have been keeping track of that in the kill feed.
Absolutely, and Yahoo, no kills yet this match, but still 3 strong. And talking about kills, 4 up right now, 22 with 4 kills as well. That is a Hail Mary of a nade, and it's actually going to land, doing quite a lot of damage, but not enough for Naka members of SCG. You can see Dean Zera, along with Vinny, still trying to close the gap into the zone. They've got this compound to use for cover from SCG. But beyond this compound, there's not a lot of protection, and going into the circle, that's what they need to be a little mindful of not being overly exposed to their backsides. Synergy now running into the problem of coming out of Al-Zahar with teams like Just Too Easy and Sonics also fighting along the edge, and that's going to make things really spicy for these 3 teams that still need to get into the zone.
Yeah, this, I mean, we're about to see the kill feed just completely light up here. All these teams having to fight their way out of Al-Azhar. As a nice grenade from Mime will find Kalnix. Synergy, oh, just like that. Shrimsy, you monster. Just Too Easy taken down, quick and clean. 4 kills now for Sonics, and they have the spot. They have the way, and H-Win will find Shin Boys. Sonic's shots are just hitting right now.
4 kills to show for it. They've just got a little bit of a foothold into the circle here. Luckily for them, Dodge hasn't overly turned and committed into doing anything to mess this up. But right now, Yahoo also going to get themselves eliminated early on. So our 2 leaderboard leaders, no kills on the board, out early this match. That is going to be great for Sonics, who right now 27 points out of first place. And Synergy we'll be able to get that res onto Benya, also still needing to make their way to zone. We're in phase 5, Koro, and that blue is going to sting if you're in it for more than a second or 2.
Absolutely. Big chance here for Sonics, Dodge, and Fiumba to make headway on our leaders, as all 3 of those teams in pretty decent positions. As you see SCG try to take care of what's left. 22 been having a banger of a game here today, as these 2 teams, I mean, they are scrapping it out at the bottom of the leaderboard, but don't tell them that, because they are having a good fight here. Good game so far. As Greg shot from where? Good God.
Okay.
It's out in the middle of space, man. And Synergy dies to blue.
I made Synergy really tried to take that rotation. I think they actually got hit by quite a lot of damage from Dodge. As you can see, Gats is going to be able to steal that knock onto Pippa. And just kind of reading what's been happening in the kill feed. Yeah, Synergy rotated in the blue, and from all the way up there on that high ground, Dodge was able to tear into them. But as you called it, Poro, the blue zone getting credit for most of those kills. That said, Dodge in a good position to continue to deny this wrap-up from Sonics if they can spot out Mime, who's just about to crest this hill.
Yeah, this is a tough fight. This is a tough fight for both of these squads here, just because of how that hill's working. As Gats will just lead off with a couple of preemptive grenades just to hold off the push. Fortunately for both of these teams, nobody can really third party this. I mean, you can see SCG way down there. May have a little bit of an angle, but they've got enough of a problem of their own trying to get in the circle. It looks like Dodge, yeah, I like this play by Dodge. Just disengage on this, go for the circle, take the fight later. As you can see, Young Kings, like they finally ran into 22, and there you go. 22 will go down to a combination there of Young Kings and Richie B. SCG down to just Richie, and he has got a long way to go.
Yeah, and I love this too by Dodge. Hikerman had kind of held on to this compound just along the ridgeline. So I think Dodge reading the situation and realizing that they really wanted to focus more on priority for the circle, really quick to give up that positioning to Sonics and focus on maintaining the high ground going forward to the next part of the zone. But this is also going to take them right into the doorsteps of Spicy Fish. Moody.
Oh, Moody.
I heard him. You can see starting to do the creep walk. Could potentially spot out Hikerman here.
I don't know if Moody spotted something or if he just had an inkling, but he was already down on the low side before Dodge was even able to get there. So great stuff from him. As see Icy Flex taking shots there. H-Win will finish off Richie. But this is the fight for the North. Dodge and Spicy Fish. They've already lost Simply Matt, which is surprising because I feel like Simply Matt's always the last one alive for Spicy Fish. But this time around, he'll go down early as the rest of the boys left to hold their spot here.
I do agree with you, especially in week 1 at least. There was more times than not that Simply Matt was playing as a solo for his team mid to late of the game for Spicy Fish. A lot of the placement points that they were able to pick up was from Simply Matt's performance, but Dodge too. I mean, this keeping their head down till the late game. There's so many teams right now that have the potential to come into that final fight as a 4-man. TMG with a widespread. Dodge taking this fight to Spicy Fish, and as Ethan is going to get hit, headshot by Pat Caps, that finds a knock, trades it back into their favor. Meanwhile, Wildcard are just pinned down, getting slaughtered by 3 different squads.
This could be that double-digit kill game we were looking for from the Sonics. The smoke wall laying down thick right now as Nico's trying to go for the res onto Greg's shot, but you can see the bullets just landing all around him. Now it's going to be the Molotov, and now Greg's shot is dead, and now so is Nico's. Sonics clean it up. Now there is still RDS 149 inside that compound, but back to the fight up for the North, and Spicy Fish 3v4. They take 1 knock, but what a clean fight.
5 kills now to show for them this match. They're going to have the opportunity to get that res. Fume, but not in a position to safely crest that hill. But Colton is going to challenge it as he wraps back around. And I mean, Poro, you called it right now. The kills coming out big for Sonics. The circle's going to shift back down to the south. They've got a foothold into that position. But I'm just curious what Colton is going to do here now with the support of Zealots. He saw what happened in the kill feed and trying to see if this is an opportunity to score some big points for their team.
Colton and the company just sending the utility over, seeing what they can find, as it looks like, well, it's not going to be enough. And that new circle has popped down to the south, so they might be thinking about keeping 4 up and fighting for this end game here, as Fiumba still hasn't had to leave their compound. Shrimzy and the boys still trying to get rid of whatever's left there of Young Kings. RDS, he is very, very comfy, as that might be the molly that does it. Right on top of him. There it is. And goodbye. There you go. 9th kill for Sonics picked up as they have complete control of the South.
Yeah, and the wild thing now is that Poro, 3 of the 4 teams are still stacked as a 4-man. TMG really spread, kind of trying to see what would happen with Spicy Fish. Now has put them a little bit of a disadvantage for positioning. Hello My Bad does have a spot in zone. You can see he has line of sight as well on the shack that's got Shrimzy and Mime inside after clearing out what was left of Young Kings. But Tiggleton and H1 with the high ground just to the west of that position. And Fiumba, who've also been pretty quiet as they've had compounds, using that as an opportunity to clean up Spicy Fish with the help of Sonics. Now there you go, Poro, double-digit kills, 11 right now for this game.
There you go. Rejoice, Sonics fans. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. They never leave you without any double-digit kill games in a tournament. So they finally open it up here in game number 2 of day 1 of week number 2. Now, can they secure the win? It's going to be tough. Fiumba, TM, they don't really have a reason to fight each other. So Sonics, they've got this high ground that they can hold on to, but look at this, Capitan starting to creep forward here a little bit. 0 kills for Fiumba, but I mean, they've just had a good compound this whole game. Nobody's gone anywhere near them. They've been in a bowl. They haven't really had a chance to do anything. And it looks like Fiumba just going to rally the troops and push down to the south, and Rybo's going to get the opening knock on a Shrimzy.
Yeah, all of the damage and knocks that Fiumba were able to pull out had been stolen away by everybody else, and that's part of the problem when you get the center compound. I mean, Fiumba, remember, were one of the original teams that dropped up in this area and have been in circle for most of the game. So that said, 12 kills now for Sonics, as you see H-Win very slowly creeping. The circle not in favor of Sonics. They're going to have to work hard for it for Fiumba, but they need to make sure they don't get overly locked into this fight with Fiumba too, because TMG are still a very real threat.
Yeah, I like this for Fiumba. They got that opening knock. Sonics did a really good job of holding them at bay with a combination of smokes and flashbangs, making sure that they didn't push off of that knock on H. When they get the res, they're back up to full strength. Fiumba, realizing the situation, seeing the new compound, or seeing the new circle rather, pulling back to the compound, decide to hold the hard cover, as Sonic's going to have to move down here eventually, and they can actually hold this hard cover while Sonics and TM maybe dispatch of each other. We'll see how it plays out. Good smoke wall still laid down for Sonics. They are completely keyed in though on Fiumba, have not spotted out anyone from TM just yet. And it looks like TM, realizing that, have just kind of slowed things down. They have this good ridge line to work with. There's no reason to overstep, no reason to take a risk at losing somebody, as Fiumba now having to deal with the threat of Sonics.
These 4 buildings, Fiumba have 2 that are in the next circle. Rebo occupying one of them, Capitan's building being the other. And you can see smokes out. The play right now for Sonics might be to try and challenge Fiumba for one of these compounds as the blue is closing in 40 seconds until it gets there. Capitan and Draft Team finding 2 knocks, get the secure onto Shrimsy, find a third. H-Win is going to be the one to go down. It's all up to Tiggleton, excuse me, to Mime. Mime is actually the last one still standing, but is going to pull back away from this. I think the play right now might try to be as a solo. What damage can he amount? But TMG still with line of sight, and Mime is going to go to zone now. TMG 3 still up. Molotov's out, and it looks like the push might just be to continue to pressure on Fiumba's position.
Great hold from Fiumba. That was a tough spot for Sonics to be in, and Fiumba held well. They're going for their 3rd chicken dinner of this tournament, which will put them right up there with those same Sonics. As Hello My Bad, trying to see if they can pull something out for TMG here. Like we said, great ridge line that they have to work with. A little bit of utility left in the bag for Fiumba. We gotta imagine it's probably running pretty low. As we said, they've been just sitting in this compound for the most part here all game. And the blue right at their backs. Nice one from Zella. Will get the knock on to Capitan, and they could just pull back down once again.
The issue right now is TMG has allowed Rebo to get around that position. You can see the flashbang onto Hello My Bad as the trade comes out. Rebo takes down Zealot, but not before Zealot was able to get that knock onto Emmy. 2 still standing up for Fiumba, but there's no time for reses. Rebo was just waiting for someone to peek. He did catch one. Draft King, the last still standing as the final trade comes out. It's a 1v1, Fiumba and TMG, but look at this, an attempt at a res right now to pick up Draft King.
That's ambitious. He's got enough smoke to try to pull it off here. Is Hello My Bad just going to spray through? He's going to find the re-knock. And now that smoke is starting to go away. Draft King down to, now next to no HP. Okay, he's still got a little bit of smoke to hide in here. But Hello My Bad just keeps spraying. He's going to find him again. Draft King, there you go. Hello My Bad will clutch it out for Tokyo Manji Gang.
It's 7 kills, TMG. Getting a very much needed chicken dinner. Pora, I mean, they came into that final fight with only 1 kill up on the board after having quite a few engagements leading up to that position, but moderately keeping their head down otherwise. So again, though, as you also called attention to, Sonics with that really big double-digit performance in that late game, it's going to help them on the leaderboard as well.
No, it's absolutely huge, especially when you consider the United and Yoho went out early, allowed Sonics to kind of catch back up. They're within single-digit points of the lead now once again, so fantastic stuff from Sonics. But again, you got to say, this is the Tokyo Manji Gang that we've been waiting to see ever since those group stages. We know that this team is scrappy. We know they can fight, and things haven't been necessarily going their way so far, at least through weekend 1. But here you go, they clutch it out. They had probably the better position out of the 2 teams, out of the 3 teams, really, in that late game. But, you know, it's a different thing to say you've got the good position than it is to win against Sonics and Fiumba.
Yeah, again, that sandwich they had on Fiumba's compound, Sonics trying to come down from the high grounds, getting everybody except for Mime having to retreat, but ultimately getting cut out from some damage, giving his life up to the zone. That was really well played, as you said, the great position that they used to their advantage, and you know, even kind of pressuring that fight onto Spicy Fish and knowing when to break away to focus on the late game match. So kudos to TMG.
Well, yet again, another fun game, too. Another wild set of circles and hardships there to be found. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come down back, the analyst desk will break down game number 2. Don't go anywhere.
Outside of PUBG, I used to be really into like hiking and climbing and biking, but ever since COVID, I've kind of become a shut-in, not gonna lie. Some of you may know, but over the last couple of years, I got really back into MMOs. I was actually competing in WoW for Sonics, while also coaching these guys.
Soy estudiante, estoy terminando la carrera de Ingeniería en Control de Gestión en una semana más defiendo mi título y nada más que eso, y practico harto deporte y me mudé hace poco a este barrio como hace 3 meses.
I am a web developer here in the Kansas City area. Before I was in ministry, I was working for a church with my wife.
I used to play a lot of tennis and tried to like do that competitively. Used to travel around Australia doing that. Never got to go international with that. I was never quite that good at it. But that would probably be the biggest thing. And then outside of that, I just play every now and again.
I don't do much outside of PUBG, to be honest. Pretty much my daily schedule is I wake up, I go to the gym, I come home, I play scrims, and I stream usually after. So I'm on a 30-day stream challenge right now, trying to grow my brand and my stream. So yeah, if you're interested, you can always check me out on Twitch.
Fora do game, eu acho que esse ano eu entrei com a mentalidade diferente dos outros anos e o tempo todo eu tô no computador treinando, buscando mais informações, tentando evoluir. E esse ano eu tô bem fechado para desempenhar o máximo que eu consigo, então poucas coisas para falar fora do game, mas mais essas características mesmo que eu mudei para esse ano com esse time novo e para jogar mesmo.
Game number 2 is done, and Tokyo Manji Gang finally finding themselves in a good position in the end game, finding that peace and tranquility that they were oh so looking for, as we are now moving into game number 3. Matchroom joined by Cammy D and Godspeed. Guys, okay, there's a lot. Cammy, you already got stuff you want to go into. Just go.
Oh, no, I was saying that's me, because that is my name. Cameron Davis.
That me.
That's me. That me. It me.
There
Me.
were
No,
a
but good.
lot
Yes.
of moving parts. So, just
Yeah,
where do you want to start, Cam? I'll let you.
Where do I want to start?
This is the Cam show. Where do you want to start?
Oh
Cam?
God! Oh, you're putting me on the spot here. Okay, well, it sounds like we actually do have the highlights ready, and that we can definitely go into.
Well, then, with
thank
that,
you,
let's
Cam.
just go to the highlights and get everything ready. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to you guys when we get everything situated and ready to go.
There it is. Yes. So I did want to talk about this. Short Circuit Gaming. They are very, very opportunistic in the early game when it comes to finding kills, and oftentimes it seems that does put them in a bad position in regards to positioning. They like focus so hard on getting kills that they then have no real like way to get inside the zone next. But here, when they're able to get an entire wipe on a team like VP, it puts them in a really good position to move to the mid game.
Yep, and as far as moving over to Spicy Fish, I mean, seeing some signs of life from this team. Obviously, they had the unfortunate situation where they had to play with 3 one of the days, but I mean, they're still fighting in here, man, and it's still great to see Moody in the mix yet again. Sonics, meanwhile, on the South Ridge had like a really rough push, but they were making it work. And then going into the final fight, I really, to double up on Poro's point, it's really wonderful to see Tokyo Manji Gang finally doing what we saw them do in the regionals and the group stages. I mean, we had so many expectations for this team coming in, and the way that they played that circle, even though they had the advantage, they pushed out. Colton and Zealot were able to push off Spicy Fish and really take control of that zone. So big shout out to Tokyo Manji Gang.
Well, I mean, look, the match standings say it. Tokyo Manji Game, as good as Sonics right there. Both at 17 points. Spicy Fish back behind them with 9, tied up with Short Circuit Gaming, who had themselves a good game as well. I know an underdog story, a lot of people are kind of, well, I guess a climbing team that a lot of people have their hopes and dreams set on, see if they can get something out of it, and have managed to climb and at least touching just too easy around 14th place and have an opportunity to climb from there. Meanwhile, I guess usual contender is still holding up on the left side of the leaderboard, with Fiumba finding more and more steam, trying to make that chase up into Dodge.
Yeah, really it's more Sonics being able to close that gap. Sure, they didn't win, but they tied in points, right? They got 17 points. Yeah. And with Yoho and E United going out early, we all said in the green room the second it happened, it's like, oh, this is an opportunity for Sonics and Dodge to like try and really close that gap. It didn't work out for Dodge, but Sonics, they are still like, what was it, like 10-point difference? So they're still going to need to really, keep on the gas.
Pretty decent,
but it's going to make it into that 3-horse race that we keep sort of hypothesizing about.
Well, also, like, just real quick to touch on Fiumba, right? Like, they actually did a really good job of holding that attack from 2 fronts, because they had to deal with the Sonics. They knew that they had to deal with the Sonics coming in. And then they had, I think it was like Rebo on the anchor watching Tokyo Manji, because they potentially could have pushed as well. And so they actually won that fight pretty clean, all things considered, in that situation against the Sonics. And Fiumba today overall has also been doing very well in their fights in general. So it's been good to watch them climb as well.
There were a lot of very interesting fights moving into that one. That's not a section of the map I feel we see a lot. We do go into Azuhara on a general basis, but that southeastern area, just where that hillside comes through, is led to some peculiarities. Like we saw it with a couple of teams having to bump heads that I would say were hoping for open, like easier paths, as well as having just more open terrain once they even got up that hillside. Like you were talking about the end game there, Godspeed, and I was and how it broke down and how Tokyo Manji Game played it right. But I do also want to jump into the defensive line that held back the Sonics. You were quite impressed with that.
Yeah, I mean, again, Fiumba, just the way that they had, it didn't hurt that they had a Groza, right? But also Sonics had to come off. Sonics had to come off of a very difficult hill, and they were using their utility well, but Fiumba was just able to stop them, right? Whether it was through their own utility, whether it was through spraying with the Groza and all their other guns and just stopping the push, but they held that well. And then that anchor of Rebo, making sure that Tokyo Manji didn't want to make the push onto their flank and actually get more points and do more damage to them than they already would have wanted. It was a really good hold from Fiumba, and we've seen some of those throughout this event so far, and that's kind of what we knew Fiumba as, right? They were a very aggressive, very scrappy team that was able to get out of those situations with the majority of the wins. So yeah, it was good to see.
I just miss being able to do the Fiumba as much as we used to. Cam, this is where we're going to go on a more adventurous line. We've been sticking to stats and facts and map movements. Now we're going to take a dive. Sonics finding themselves in the late game while they don't win the game. Is this going to be the momentum starter that they are going to need to start assaulting it? You were alluding to that earlier, that they are getting closer, and we still keep having some hiccups that are happening at the top of the leaderboard. Are they going to finally start that final assault?
Let's hope they do. I think the problem with Sonics is that they have been winning so much in the region that we expect, like, the highest performance out of them. But if you look at their performances and you take the nameplate off, they still look like a really, really good team.
Sure.
We're just missing that benchmark of Sonics stealing a game that they had no right to win. That was like one of their the trademarks, was being able to come out and it's like, wait, where did they come from? Oh, the game is now theirs. We don't really see that a lot anymore. They're still able to win games when they enter the late game. So as long as they can keep that mid-game movement up to their advantage, it should be a really good job. Mostly, it's Shrimzy. He's been a little bit, I don't want to call him dead weight, but he's been a little bit of a low fragger from week number 1, and we know how good of a player he is. So if he can actually step it up and give that like extra 10 to 20%, then I think Sonics would be able to punch like their weight as we're used to.
Damn, Shrimzy just getting outed like that. I know.
Talking about my boy like that. Oh my.
Oh, hurts it hurts. Poro, Clover, you got some takes on what happened in that last game.
Shrimzy catching strays out here, man.
And
in game 2. Oh, yeah.
Is this because you were referred to as Sonic's #1 fan and now you're just going real hard in the other direction?
Yeah, it must be.
It must be. Hey, there you go, Sonics. You can stop sending me DMs and thinking of how much I hate you. You have verifiable proof now that Cam hates you more.
You know who I
he's
hate?
going after Shrimzy, of all people, America's
Actually,
sweetheart.
if I could actually
Poro,
just
because Poro, I gotta say this.
Wow,
Death Star Trench to the west of Azahar. To the
guys,
west.
vibes up, guys. Vibes up. There's a lot of hate.
I was the one that
need to be
called it to the south.
But
But then I realized I was thinking the wrong Star Wars movie. I was going like prequels, #1, Pod Racer, like that south of Al-Zahar. That's some pod racing area right there.
I gotta check out on this. If we're losing where the Death Star Trench is, I don't even know how to have conversations anymore.
Like I'm a boomer. I'm the one. Like everybody's thinking of prequels, and I'm still thinking about the OG. I don't know.
As long as we don't talk about the sequels. And on that note, I'm gonna run away. Bye.
Boy. Well, we are getting ready to head into game number 3, Clover, and finally, let's go down to the Southwest. It feels weird to say, like, oh my God, I'm so glad we're going back to the Southwest.
No, because
Good
we
Lord.
haven't really had any circles out in this area, especially that first pop center year on Chumacera. I think we've had some later games that have kind of kissed the northeast corner of this circle, but we haven't really had a good finish out in this area. I love it when we get those final circles that are out in that road just south of where Tater is for TAC 8. That's always really fun. But also those Chumacera endings, there's such a variation of terrain out in that area. But Trogloditas, I mean, I keep thinking lately that on Miramar, they've had some really rough early games, whether it's just strange rotations, catching a team off guard, losing players early on. This could be a good situation to set them up for a strong late game performance if they can manage to hold that defensive situation pretty well.
Yeah, that's just it, isn't it? I mean, they've got to hold Chuma, and I mean, I think the last time we saw a game like this was when we saw Sonics get their first win. Playing out of that Chuma spot, I think it was game 5 on day number 1. I can be honest with you, I can't remember what happened to Trog then. I think they went out pretty early, so we'll see what they decide to do this time around and how they decide to play it. T8 also catching a little bit of circle luck this time around as well, as they will be, they got Tater down there in that high ground spot towards the center, but a lot of teams having to make that long rotation in particular, Fiumba all the way off in Campo Militar. They got a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, the very opposite of the previous game for Fiumba, right? Being in circle along with Just Too Easy, 22, and Yahoo. Now those are the 4 teams that are farthest from this circle as it popped, as you said, on the opposite side. And given where this circle is, yeah, we're watching some of those teams that have the zone, but they do have a bit of a wide split. So we should see them in the next minute or two start to consolidate some of those splits so they can prepare a little more defensively as more teams try to move in for that position. And teams like Fiumba probably going to take some blue zone damage. We've seen them do that before, taking a little bit of that late game, try to play the edge. It's where they're oftentimes a little more comfortable and successful in their higher score killing games. I mean, again, they went into that final fight with either 0 or 1 kills before they were sandwiched with both TMG and Sonic. So this could be a place for them to play catch up in terms of some additional points that are very needed on the board. Because remember, I mean, we talked about at the top of the show, there's a lot on the line right now for LATAM teams in terms of PGC points prior to what could potentially come out from PCS 7.
Yep, and I mean they're 2 points shy of Dodge right now in that 4th place spot, which would be triple-digit PGC points if they can hold it until the end of the weekend, which would be huge, obviously, for Fiumba, especially with 22 performing the way they are. So you can see Fiumba coming in here in one tournament and taking the lead in terms of PGC points for Latin America, but still a long way to go. A lot of games left to be played as we check in with those Sonics moving into North Chumacera. Looks like Trog has decided to kind of play that eastern side, 2-1-1 split. A lot of real estate being taken up by the Trog boys. As you can see, Young Kings starting to kind of split through.
And this is the quick rotations. I mean, we're just at the 5-minute mark now. Sonics in Chumacera, they've left Picado. A lot of teams just about where they want to put down, and you can see Kill Demo to actually avoid Sonic and give up that Chumacera. Teams opting inside the edge of Gladitas, maybe potentially being scouting some of this high ground. Kill Demo going for one of the highest parts right now, but this is still a 2-1-1 split for Troglodytes in phase 1.
He's positioning his motorcycle here for a quick escape, and he might need to use it quick sooner rather than... Well, yeah, bike was upside down. Well, it might need to use it sooner rather than later, as Spicy Fish was starting to come in as we check in with Bing Bang Boom. We saw them have a pretty successful game here the last time we played over in this area, as well as we talked about it. Bing Bang Boom, the first 3 games of the day, man, it has just been not great, and then they kind of flip that switch once the map change comes through. So far today, well, how are they doing so far today? Let me check. Got to double check here. Yeah, not great. 2 points. 2 points. So tradition holding so far for Bing Bang Boom. Even though it seems like they're cognizant of it, man. They know that they're having these early day issues and they're turning things up. But at the end of the day, they're still turning up and they're getting points that they need. Now, if they could just figure out a way to get them in the first 3 games too, they might find themselves jumping up the leaderboard a little bit more.
Yeah, and too, I mean, again, my brain goes to some of those fights like they took on with Synergy and some of the other teams earlier on in the games today, but closing that out, securing those flushes, getting credit for the work that you're putting in, especially if you're sacrificing players to the early mid-game, you want to make sure that you've got something to show for it. So, but as you call, I mean, we will switch up the map after this match, and that will be a big opportunity for them to throw down 20, 30 points in the last 2 games. And Spicy Fish also, you know, I got to give them credit. They did have to play one day without a member. IC Flex just was not able to participate, and that was a rough day for them. I think they only put down 11 points on that day, and often a lot of that was just survival points from Simply Matt being the last one alive, maybe getting a kill off being a snake in the grass. But that performance, I definitely think kind of held them back where they could have potentially been on the leaderboard, and now we've seen them slowly grow. But you can see it is a clustering right there at the bottom of the leaderboard. It's 68 points right there, Spicy Fish in 12th place, but Troglodytes just too easy. SCG, they're less than a game's points away from switching out. And that's really what we've been seeing, is these teams just continue to trade for points, and a lot of that has come from some of the kill stealing and the big leaders at the top. Yahoo, E United, Sonics, Dodge, Fiumba, who've just been putting down ridiculous amount of kills in the first 3 days of this event.
Yeah, it's tough stuff for Spicy Fish, or Spicy Flex, or Icy Fish, regardless of what you want to call them. It's you know, even without the day missed there from Icy, I mean, these guys were already coming in with very, very few reps as a squad. You know, and they knew it. They knew they were kind of behind the 8 ball, and they were doing everything they could to try to get some ranked reps in, just as a squad, just to work on their comms. You know, just basic stuff that you need as a new team. And, you know, for them to be doing as well as they are, I mean, they're in 12th, which is obviously not great, but being in 12th with what they came in with is pretty good. It's pretty good. You take that.
Yeah, and two, I mean, obviously to note, even if these teams are out of the running to win the ESL finals, there's still these big ladders of points once you get out of these bottom stages. So if you can't get yourself into a place where you're going to be like top 3. You can still get yourself a little bit higher up so that you've got better positioning to play from once you go forward to PCS 7. Because there's still, we've seen before, there's no guarantee any of these teams that we're seeing in the finals here will even get the opportunity to go to PCS 7. They've still got to get through the qualifiers, the regional qualifiers, and everything moving forward. So that said, as we've now gotten past the halfway point, what we're really looking for is those teams that have just continued to step up day after day.
Still getting used to seeing Zealot shooting at wildcard instead of shooting from a wildcard jersey. Zealot, long time.
Oh, okay. I love this circle, Poro.
Oh, this is a good circle. A lot of
Especially
room on the
if it ends
south
up on
there,
TAC
too.
8's compound, that just tiered series of high grounds just to the south of that position. I feel like we might even see some teams just send it to the road right along the river and try to play that edge moving forward.
I'm looking at Spicy Fish's spot there. Oh, there you go. How am I bad? He gets spotted out by Waikikamukow. Colton there to try to take a little bit of revenge. Waikikamukow just dodging between the windows here. We got to see his comments on his thoughts about how his team was performing the first week, and he didn't pull any punches. He didn't sugarcoat things. He knows that they have to step it up, and now they're going to try to see if they can maybe get back together. But Colton finding all the shots here is now Greg's shot out in the middle of the open. Colton is just eating them alive. Is he going to get all of them? Oh my, Waikikamukow will take it from the side. 14 HP will be enough to go down to that grenade, as Juarez now finding Waikikamukow. Adam, the last one up for wildcard as their early game struggles continue, and there you go. Taken down just like that. Tokyo Manji Gang.
And this was needed so badly for Tokyo. And the best part about this fight is there's nobody else in the area. There's no one to third party steal kills away or take credit for any of that work that they just put in. The climb's still continuing now as Tokyo Manji Gang moved into 10th place. And they're just a few points out from behind Synergy Gaming, who's at 9th. So
a long climb. The journey of 1,000 steps starts with one, Clover.
That's I like that.
Yeah, and I just came up with it right now, immediately, right here. It was never been said by anyone ever before in history. But yeah, I mean, look,
that for sure.
Tokyo Manji Gang, they're doing what they got to do. The problem for wildcard right now is that Bing Bang Boom is having kind of a banger of a tourney so far, and they're the ones that kind of stand to gain a lot here, and the higher they can get up, the better off they'll be. As Kickstart will open things up there onto Poonage. The rest of Yahoo not really anywhere. Again, man, E United and Yahoo, do they just they're always right on top of each other.
Yeah, and I think part of this too obviously comes from the fact that they do land in very similar positions. We've seen E United even Yahoo walk up behind E United before in their Minas position. So for Yahoo to have wrapped this early on, I don't know if it was a miscalculation on their part or if they just didn't even care that E United would potentially be in this area. But as you can see now, at the cost of one, you've got to wonder if this is still worth continuing, and Balefrost is going to go ahead and pull back away. Now, given this circle, there is an opportunity to rotate down around Higos and potentially try and cross the river. It's a very risky play, and there's still 22 other teams to worry about. But it looks like they're just going to go ahead and send it beyond E United, and you can see on the road just to the north of E United is a little battle of LATAM. There's Synergy and Fiumba also holding 4 positions. So 2 members of Yahoo, though, are going to find a bit of safety inside the circle. Or say that, I'm not sure if Vinny's got eyes on this or not.
He's definitely has spotted out something. Oh, he's got to go ahead and dip on out as Nefahor has a little bit of an angle. Vinny just trying to avoid the fire for now. We'll stay up, and there you go. Centers up right on that Spicy Fish compound. Oh, boy. Okay, we've seen these before. This is looking like a Spicy Fish 0 kill top 3 if this continues to play out like it does normally. But all our teams off to the north, they've got some decisions to make here because there's a lot of open area there, a lot of strong spots to still play on those hillsides, but they're going to be going away rapidly. Yeah, Bing Bang Boom already moving.
Yeah, there we go. This is kind of, I think it's also why I like these circles. They can be really exciting early on. A lot of teams right now having to take rotations on top of each other. You see Sonics coming into Chubasera. This is a little late rotation, and they are feeling the pressure right now from TMG as H-Win struggling. Give a little bit of support for Mime. Mime's actually just going to go full in the chase with some help from Tiggleton, who's not too far behind him. It looks like a drive-by might be the attempt here, but you can see, I mean, this is rough terrain to traverse right now, especially if you're trying to get a drive-by as the solo player in your vehicle. But looks like this compound is free, and so that's going to be a good 2-2 split now for Sonics, who are going to have to play the north side of the zone.
I liked that. You could actually see it in real time while they were chasing down TMG, and while that was going on, H-Win was scouting out this compound and feeding that intel over to Mime and Tig and letting them know, like, hey, this is open. Now TM, they push forward, and Zealot a little bit off on an island here as the rest of TM hiding in a shack just off in the distance. You can see Spicy Fish has some kind of angle. Bing Bang Boom knows somebody's right on their doorstep as well. So Tokyo Manji Gang just playing it close to the vest for the time being, but that might be all that they're really able to do given their positioning.
It's just kind of been the story of Bing Bang Boom getting stuck in these early awkward positions that, I mean, nobody wants to be in a shack this early on. It is not the ideal situation to be at, especially when you're this close to a firefight. But you can see the issue, obviously, is everybody is really close. Spicy Fish have a line of sight on TMG, and that could be a little bit of help here for those members of Bing Bang Boom, as Zealot stuck out in the smoke, while you could see Moody just trying to see if he could pick up anything. Hasn't spotted it out, and just continuing to keep that watchful eye on the ridgeline. Meanwhile, Yahoo, Balefrost, that last member that needed to close the gap with his teammates, joining in, and they are going to leave 22 Esports behind. Young Kings to the north.
How do
United
they get away
still
with
in this
that?
area too. I mean, where do you go if you're Yahoo? There's not a lot of options for them.
I mean, they just pulled right through. Okay, Extreme will find Shimboy and Bale down to next to nothing, and there you go. Ikuz is going to be right there waiting. Shimboy, or actually, it's going to be Sparking, finds Ikuz, so Yahoo's still in it somehow. As I thought it would have been 22 that would have done the most damage there, but ends up being a combination of SCG and Young Kings as the circle once again pops. And yep, Spicy Fish still pretty close to center there. Sparking, though, the last player up for Yahoo. So United now having to deal with 22 on that south side. They have that high ground, but you got Fiumba, you got Young Kings. It's a very populated part of the mountain there. You go, Sparking gonna get popped by Neff.
I mean, SCG, you saw like all members were just taking shots at that shack. They knew somebody was in there, and given the positioning of the zone, didn't want to waste any opportunities to try and capitalize on that position. But I mean, I'm Sparking with the drive-by. It was flawless. Obviously, not really picking up anything beyond that one kill, but still using that opportunity to create something out of a really tough situation to be in. But I mean, Poro, with 52 players alive, 14 teams, half of whom are not in this next zone. And even if they do get into the zone, the area that they have to play is not really good in terms of coverage from the other teams around. So we're only in phase 4, but I really foresee this just being really, really difficult now for teams like E United and 22. Have to figure out who's going to play position along the edge, still getting pressure from Young Kings and Fiumba once they get into the zone. SCG should have a line of sight on that as well.
Yeah, a lot of big fights going on the edges here, as you can see Gats and the rest of the Dodge boys trying to make a move past Trogloditas. A lot of hills to work in, but the problem for them is that Bing Bang Boom, TAC 8, they're inside the circuit. You see on your mini-map in a perfect position to kind of do a little bit of gatekeeping here, not to mention Trog having to leave. As you can see, the Blues starting to encroach. Smoke's laid down for Dodge as they were anticipating the push to come in quickly. Took a little bit longer maybe, though, as now Hikerman looking for where the next spot to go is going to be. T8, big wide split here. High, they've got guys high, they've got guys low. And they're just waiting for these guys to push in here. As now we check in with Bing Bang Boom, Holdless. Maybe getting a little bit too far away here.
Spicy Fish actually with line of sight again, get loadless down to 28 HP, but also that's a lot of armor. There you go, the push from Troglodytes, a little bit of low ground disadvantage. Gat's gonna land some damage onto Pulsa, getting him down to 40 HP. Blue overtaking him. He's gonna pop up that first aid kit, but he might not have the time as the blue phase continues to close down. Pulsa still pinched in. Only one first aid, 10 bandages left, so he's going to do something. The best play might just be to crest the hill and see if he can get anything onto members of Dodge now as the blue getting ahead of him.
Dodge trying to send a couple in